Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by Fume. So right now is the best time to start the good habit with Fume, especially with Defining Duke being all about health as wealth. All orders for the month of January have a buy one, get one core, so you can stock up that New Year's resolution. Plus, as a listener to the show, you get an extra 10% off when you use our code. Head to tryfume.com/Xbox and use my code XBOX for an additional 10% off, plus buy one, get one cores until January 31st to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. Welcome to episode 159 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by... I didn't really plan a nickname for you. I'm joined by Lord Cognito. Stop joking around. I'm joined by the loveliest co-host in the business, Lord Cognito. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Mr. Maddie Plays. Doing good. Back in the realm of the Dukes. Excited for the show. Big week for us, you know.
Yes.
We got things to talk about, maybe more things to talk about, you know, coming up. So yeah, I'm excited, man. It's been, for the most part, a good time, minus other little pharmaceutical issues I'm having. I have a big issue with pharmacy companies and people who deal with insurance and stuff, and I have a new appreciation. Let's just say that now that I've moved on from Meta. But yeah, man, like it has just been crazy. You know the story. I'm not going to get into it too in detail here, but I empathize with anyone who has to switch insurances and switch pharmacies. Just know that Lord Cognito feels your pain because I understand what you're going through. Woo, boy. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get that situation resolved. Other than that, I've been doing good, man. What's been going on with you?
Doing good. I went on a walk today, and there's some walks where head empty, no thoughts, just take in nature. There are some walks where I'm idea jamming. I find my best ideas for content of all kinds on my walks.
All right.
Today was a soul-searching kind of walk, not like a what am I doing here kind of walk. It was more like I feel change ongoing in these last 7 months of my life, really since I've moved into this place. And I'm trying to map out in my head, like, okay, you know, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? I've noticed I'm a little more closed off to people outside of my circle. And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, is this a bad thing? I was reflecting, like, is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? I really don't know what led me down that rabbit hole, but otherwise I'm doing great because I've just been kind of finding myself, and I feel like in real time, despite all my stupid jokes, maturing emotionally in a sense. And yeah, just feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling good, not
uncertainty.
I did a ton of thinking.
Just a lot of thinking, like future thinking as far as your direction, or
not necessarily. I'm pretty confident in my direction. Like I have a whole career-wide roadmap in my head on how things will go. And obviously a lot of it's like, in an ideal world, if this works out, then we can do this, and that. But I have ideas from everything from a book to a game to a podcast to everything. Yeah. Like I have the vision. I'm very excited.
The boy ready. That boy got things mapped. I love it.
I'm too ambitious for my own good, but it's because I'm existential. So I want to make the most of my time here. Is how that's how I function. But yeah, it was a lot of thinking about like my emotions and because I was trying to reflect. I noticed sometimes on podcasts I'm very like, sometimes I sound like an asshole even though I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. And I just wonder sometimes, I'm like, I wonder if the audience thinks like I'm a prick. And I was like, just analyzing myself. And I've came to this conclusion of the reason I feel this way is I spent a lot of, I have a strong disdain for like my younger self, like in high school and college, younger college days, like just, I was a late bloomer for sure. Okay. And one thing that I did miss for myself back then is I did have that kind of closed off, like, like protect yourself as a part of healing myself, lowered my guard, embraced relationships. And I realized a lot of fake shit entered my life in that last like almost a decade. And you start to recognize both personally and professionally who's there for you.
Facts.
And who wants your name because you'll drive viewership, for example.
Yeah.
And
Engagement.
I was just evaluating all of my relationships in my life.
Smart man.
And just thinking to myself, you know what? Like if there's one thing I liked from my old self that I kind of want to keep, it's that ability to protect myself a little
Facts.
bit.
I love it.
And so that's kind of what I know you were just asking how I'm doing, but that's how I am doing. I kind of had this renewed sense of understanding with myself and the people who are in my life and who I'm keeping out of my life, because I think, I view the world as a glass half full kind of guy. I have confidence in my fellow man, but I also need to understand that I also shouldn't be naive. And I think in that it wasn't like one particular moment that set me off. It was just a lot of instances that I walked away from like certain collaborations or whatnot, feeling like that relationship was forged to take advantage of me at a later date. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to work with other people, but I'm going to be very picky about it. And it made me love the people who are closer to me even more so, such as you. Yeah, I'm very appreciative of you and our friendship. Appreciate the Last Stand family. I've just, it was a good soul searching walk, but I came home, I felt great. So I'm feeling good right now. And I appreciate you asking.
Absolutely.
I had to talk about it because I'm sure someone out there can relate.
Yeah, bro, you are in this. Like I've been in that pocket for the last, maybe 3 to 4 years. Where bro, you go through it. It's the life, what I call the reassessment phase, the reevaluation of all your relationships. And one thing I'm very keen on is protecting my energy, because I feel I'm a good person. I feel I try to give out good energy, and I feel like I always try to help. And then there are some people who have agendas. We got to be clear about it. And there's some things you see a while coming, like, okay, I know what this is. You're trying to utilize me. You're like, obviously for Mr. Batty Plays, I know you go through it, right? So what it is I've learned to actually distance myself. Some people are just acquaintances, and then some people I had to kind of move away from because it's just negative energy, or it's just trying to get something out and the intentions are not pure, and keep that circle that those what I call those day ones, those ones I count on, like, hey, let me call Maddie up, let me get some real advice on something that you know what I mean? Like there's certain people that I know I can go to, and you keep those relationships closer, you foster those, don't let those go.
Yeah, it's so important, man. It really is, because like there are friends that I've had for a lifetime that have faded out of my life in the last few years, and you never imagine it that way. But the ones who stick, you just, as you recount those tales, like I did earlier today, I was like, I just like have a deeper appreciation for certain relationships in my life, both old and newer ones. And so, it was a good thing to have. I was happy I took the time today to do that for myself. That's why we preach health as well, because we take that extra time to, emotionally or physically recuperate and reflect. And we actually have a great little write-in here from Thomas Rice to just continue celebrating one another. He says, "Greetings, Dukes. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the Last Stand Media and all you guys do. I got into a crash in October, and a month after that, I lost my job at Last Stand Media. Came in clutch with all the content and really kept me from feeling alone. I wanted to say thanks to you, gentlemen, and I wish you a wonderful year. Have a mediocre, full of dread, but at least the Dukes are there at the end to make you feel whole kind of day."
Man,
Thomas, you've been there since Ham Radio, if I've recognized your name right. So I appreciate the long-term support, and I have no lack of confidence here that you will be back on your feet swiftly. So I'm looking forward to your next chapter. So don't get your head down too much, but we're happy to be here for you, and hope you continue to enjoy what we're doing on Find Duke.
Absolutely. And then obviously with the health as well, he said, the brother said he got into a crash, and that's serious. So hopefully health wise, you're on the mend, you're doing good. Good thing that you're alive. That's the main thing, right? Count your blessings. And now with the job situation, brother, I've been through that. So stuff like podcasts, people you want to listen to, anything, any joy we can provide to help you through that is much appreciated. So I'm glad you said that, and you're doing a little better.
100%. You can write in like Lurdy Vision did on Last Stand, or patreon.com/Last Stand Media, where you also get early access to the show every Thursday. Cog, we have to return to this touchy subject last week.
Very touchy.
Hey, Dukes, as a first time write-in, first let me say I really enjoy the show, and Maddie and Cog's chemistry keeps you coming back as someone with little to no engagement with the Xbox platform. Thank you.
I love when people say that. I don't know why, but I love that.
It's the most validating thing, because that's what we care about at the end of the day. We don't fucking care what audience we're getting. We just want to have an audience that's here to just hang and chat about games. which I have some thoughts on in a moment. Just wanted to say, I listened last week while doing a long drive, and Cog's extremely passionate defense of MW3 as Maddie mentally shopped for a new co-host, had me in absolute stitches. I haven't laughed that hard in ages. I really needed it. Thanks for the laughs. Looking forward to seeing you in Eorzea. Yeah.
Shout out to Larry. I got to jump in because there was one moment where I said, oh no, I lost him.
And I hung my head. Yeah, I wasn't doing anything for the camera. I need people to understand that. Like, that was all authentic, like, fuck, man, I lost him. Like, that's crazy he's saying this.
Because I was sitting there like, but yo, I like it. And this, that, and third. And I see the disgust in my man, like, oh man, I can't believe this is going down right now. Not like this. It was one of those not like this Cog moments. I was like, I was loving it. It was hilarious.
I was surprised. I thought the comments were going to load up. I was just thinking about, like, I was like, no. I was thinking about it like from a friend point of view. I'm like, man, you're going to, like, he's breaking himself under such fire. Just let it be your dirty little secret to the corner. But like, dude, there were so many people like, yeah, Cog, I love that you love that. And I was thinking, no, where are my people at? I couldn't believe it. Now, we continued our negotiations behind the scene. That conversation, I did not let it die there in the show. I was like, look, Cog, I said, let me get your gamer tag. Let me get that ad. Somehow we're not friends on Xbox. We got to fix that.
Yeah, we definitely got to fix that.
The hell, but I gotta get that gamer tag. I said, I'm like, Black Ops Cold War, but you had a talk with Addict that I think was fair. Yeah, right. Brought up a very good point there. So let's evolve.
Yeah. So pretty much the conversations was the pushback from my co-host was like, yo, we got to take care of that. So I'm telling Addict the story. He laughing. He's like, yo, what? Chill. He's like, don't have Maddie spend all that, and then we all know with the ABK deal, these things are most likely going to get infused in. So it's just like, let the year play out. You guys are most likely going to get that, and then you can try those. And what's funny is, shout out to you know what's gave me good pushback? Like, Rand gave me pushback. He's like, Rand, bro, me and Rand had a call. And I gave him some of my bars after the show that I said on the show about how I was loving Call of Duty.
That shit was probably like, what?
Bro, he's like, no. And I'm like, listen, I said to Kevin, because I saw some comments, people were like, Cog, I can't believe you, or whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. Y'all can stay on that side. But like, I wanted to be clear, like I said on the show, which was, remember, this is coming from a guy who hasn't played a Call of Duty mainline campaign since like Black Ops 3. So this is like Black Ops 4. This is like my next thing in the series. I've missed out on everything. So for me, this was like a summer blockbuster to me.
Oh, wow. You haven't played in almost a decade.
That's what I tried to tell people. And I said, that's the cap. And I said, if y'all would have come at me and say, Cog, there's levels to this, bro. If you think that's great, that's kind of how Rand was like, if you think that's great, let me put you on to this. He started naming the joints. And I said, all right, fair enough. And I'll get there with it. But I will say this, that Modern Warfare, I'm gonna die on this hill.
Oh, no, please, you did enough, man. You did enough last episode.
It ain't bad what I'm about to say. I would die on this hill because of my excitement and how much fun I had. It got me now. I'm back into my yearly cadence of campaigns now. Like I'm gonna get back. Like I missed that part of my life now, where it was like, yo, you play the campaign, you beat it. If you're feeling really, extra, you do veteran. If you want that achievement floss, or then you go right in. After you do that, you go right into the multiplayer, the prestige. So I would just say, it just brought a little love back for what I used to do regularly, religiously.
I'm glad that you love it again.
Yeah, I ain't go for it, but I will play the real stuff that y'all talk about.
You'll see. That's the thing. It's just the missions, man. It's the missions. You'll see. I'm not taking you to enjoy it. I think you are in for a treat if you love that. Yeah. That's great to hear.
No doubt.
All right. That is our intro. That's all of our real cleanup here. Otherwise, one other thing I wanted to address for those listening right now, you're probably going to see something like a different outfit, different setup, all that stuff, just because we are going to do a pickup separately for the developer direct that's happening this week or during this episode, I guess. So all of this before we begin, the little news bits, the Game Pass pick of the week, our audience questions, we are going to do all that now, and then we're going to do a pickup separately to account for the news in the world of Xbox. So that's just that communicated there, so you know what to expect from us. But Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by Fume. Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there is a better way to break your bad habits. And no, we're not talking about what we're doing with Cog, where he has a bad habit of enjoying less than adequate Call of Duty campaigns, so myself, along with the rest of the community, is shoveling as many quality campaigns down his gullet as we possibly can. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. So instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. I've used Fume before, and I've really liked it. It's way more flavorful than I ever expected, and it feels incredibly fresh. I think of it a bit like a herbal tea. It just freshens up my day a bit. And honestly, it's well weighted, it's perfectly balanced, it's fun to fidget with a little bit, and it looks great with the real wood there. So right now is the best time to start the good habit with Fume, especially with Defining Duke being all about health as wealth. All orders for the month of January have a buy one, get one core, so you can stock up that New Year's resolution. Plus, as a listener of the show, you get an extra 10% off when you use our code. Head to tryfume.com/Xbox and use my code XBOX for an additional 10% off, plus buy one, get one cores until January 31st to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Let's go from talking about life and Call of Duty to the economics of Game Pass, which is everybody's favorite subject. You know, I saw a great comment, which is rare. I saw a great comment in our Defining Duke episode last week, and it was something along the lines of, I'm not quoting fully accurately here, but it was like, you listen to the podcast, you see Maddie and Cog having a good time, poking fun at things, and the comment section is just straight World War II. Oh Lord, it gets bad every week, and it's. And I don't know why I choose to lead off with subjects like this, because I just know that people are going to hear. It's the first thing they hear, be like, "Oh my god, oh my god, here we go again." But it's like, okay, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? Exactly. So it was just it was a very illuminating comment because I never thought of it that way. Which is like I encourage people, listen to our show in a vacuum, then come back before the next episode goes live. Remember those feelings you experience, positive or negative, and read the comment section and tell me that it's ever an accurate representation of our episode. And that's not just us, by the way. That's all podcasts. We deal with it basically across the entirety of LSM at this point. But it's just something to be on the lookout for.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, no,
it's clear. But I mean, I was talking to Locke about it because he came under fire on Twitter. Who the fuck goes after Locke? That's some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But he came under fire. I was like, look, dude, I said, these people have already decided before they listen to anything we say. They have already decided, like, we're here for, like, as we sit here recording, we're here for the earnest listeners. LSM community, like, we're here for you. Whether you agree with us, disagree with us, as long as you're earnestly listening and discussing with us, like, we are here for you. Always, always, always. But like I was telling Locke, I said, most of these people just have their mind made up. Like they've come in hacked just because we have an Xbox podcast at our time, for example, and they've decided where we stand. I've seen already the disingenuous clippings of our conversation last week. It's hilariously predictable where it sometimes leads to my existentialism kicking in. I'm like, the fuck am I doing this for? Like, what am I doing this for? Like, you guys just already decide what I've said before I've even said a fucking word.
They watch it. They watch it, though.
They are. But no, it was funny to me. And I thought that comment really brought to light something there. And I just thought this opening subject really is going to capture that well. Just watch. Enjoy the fireworks down below. It's literally going to happen again.
You already know.
Yeah. Come on, Cog. Let's have some fun, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
I wanted to talk about Game Pass, no doubt. I mean, we're going to record a Sacred Symbols Cross Defining Duke episode in the coming week. I don't know when that's going to go live, but no doubt that we have a chat server among the Last Stand staff, and Colin is very fired up.
Oh yeah, he got the guns ready. He's like, let's go.
Yeah, he's on a mission right now. So no doubt when it comes, it's going to come to blows at DD Cross Sacred,
of course,
where we're going to talk all about Game Pass, but it feels like it's a hot subject at our server. And given that we had last week's conversation about Xbox games potentially leaving the platform, I thought some comments from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Ubisoft's comments, Sven Vink's comments at Larian, all really tied together well to have this overall encompassing conversation on where Xbox is heading and the future of subscription services, our favorite subject on this show that we get the most write-ins about. So it's going to be 3 stories at once, basically. So bear with me as I do a lot of reading here. But yeah, I thought it would be exciting nonetheless. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella spoke on the future of Xbox in December of 2023, where he said, quote, "We think that now we have the ability to do what we always set out to do, which is build great games and deliver them to folks across all platforms, which is Xbox and consoles, PCs, mobile gaming, and cloud gaming," end quote. Meanwhile, more recently, he had this to say during an interview with Bloomberg, quote, "We love gaming. In fact, Microsoft Flight Simulator was born even before Windows. But we were number 3, number 4, and now with Activision, I think we have a chance of being a good publisher, quite frankly, on Sony, Nintendo, PCs, and Xbox. So yeah, we're excited about that acquisition closing, and I'm glad we got it through," end quote. So let's move over to Ubisoft real quick. Apologies, Cog. I got this link for you right now, so you can go through it with me. I'm just going to read a set of quotes here in the middle of this IGN article where it writes, quote, and by the way, this is a Ubisoft exec where the title of the article is Ubisoft exec says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games for subscriptions to take off. So it reads, "We're seeing expansion on console as the likes of PlayStation and Xbox bring new people in. On PC, from a Ubisoft standpoint, it's already been great, but we're looking to reach out more on PC, so we see opportunity there. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that. But as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist. The service will continue. You'll be able to access them when you like. That's reassuring. Streaming's also a thing that works really well with subscriptions. So you pay when you need it as opposed to paying all the time. Now, naturally, this has gone pretty south for Ubisoft. I think some of the quote tweets I've seen are kind of mischaracterizing what Ubisoft actually said, which is, has been received more as a just deal with it, we're going all digital, where it's more of them saying like it's still a gradual thing happening in transition. Gamers are slower on the uptake. And once they let go of that is when this will go full speed ahead and change the industry as we know it, which I have some thoughts on, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So Sven Vink, who was the director of Baldur's Gate 3, the biggest game last year.
Do with the suit. That's my main.
Yes, absolutely. Suit of armor, and also head at Larian, had this Twitter thread to point out, which I thought would then dovetail perfectly into our audience write-ins, where he writes, "Whatever the future of game looks like, content will always be king. But it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscription becomes the dominant model and a select group gets to decide what goes to market and what not. Direct from developer to players is the way. Getting a board to okay a project fueled by idealism is almost impossible, and idealism needs room to exist, even if it can lead to disaster. Subscription models will always end up being cost-benefit analysis exercises intended to maximize profit. There's nothing wrong with that, but it may not become a monopoly of subscription services. We are already dependent on a select group of digital distribution platforms, and discoverability is brutal. Should these platforms all switch to subscription, it'll become savage. In such a world, by definition, the preference of the subscription services will determine what games get made. Trust me, you really don't want that." His TLDR, he writes afterwards, is, "You won't find our games on a subscription service, even if I respect that for many developers, it presents an opportunity to make their game. I don't have an issue with that. I just want to make sure the other ecosystem doesn't die because it is valuable." We have a couple of write-ins here, so let's go through both of them, and then we'll chat. Mike Poe writes, "Good day, Dukes. Sven Vink put out a statement in which he said it's going to be harder to get good games if subscription services become the dominant model. He also warned about a decrease in discoverability of games if subscription models become the norm. With Maddie working on his own indie game, I'm wondering what the Dukes think about Swen's comment. I primarily play Xbox, and I've been on Game Pass Ultimate since its inception, but I'm a fan of gaming first and Xbox fan second. Comments like Swen's from people who have decades of industry experience make me think about the pros and cons of this service. Do the Dukes share in this skepticism? Or are there counterpoints to be made that Swen and other subscription service critics don't take into account? Meanwhile, Psych Coffee writes, "Hey Dukes, I was just wondering about your take on what Larian and Ubisoft recently said regarding subscriptions in gaming. Ubisoft thinks we need to be comfortable not owning games. Larian disagrees. Personally, I recognize the value of Game Pass and other subscriptions, but I much prefer to own all of my entertainment media. I'm really curious how you feel, Maddie, considering your avid interest in collecting physical games. Thanks, as always, for a great show, and have a you won't own your games and you will like it kind of day." Thank you, everyone, for writing in. So
yes,
that's a mouthful. I know some of the questions are geared towards me, but since I've been going for a little bit, Cog, I'd like to hear from you first, just on where you stand with what Satya said versus what Ubisoft is saying versus what Larian is saying. So obviously, we've found ourselves quite in the middle here. We've defended Game Pass pretty vigorously here because we do think it's a big part of Xbox's future, but does that mean it's a part of the entire industry's future?
That's a good question. And I think that I think all three had a lot of interesting points that we can kind of parse. I think for me, with Satya, I think the situation with Satya is different. It's more so about Xbox's future of where, they feel on platform exclusivity. And obviously he's speaking to an audience in reference to post ABK world. That's how I take it. And when I hear about, Satya from the jump has been very transparent that he does not like exclusives. Like he has been on record for saying that kind of thing. So I've always looked at that, and then I've always looked at what, Phil has said in reference to, the direction of where things go. So as it currently stands, to me, if I'm just being brutally honest and taking things face value, Satya's comments more aligned with what's the gentleman, the CFO, I believe it's Tim
Stewart. Yeah.
Tim Stewart's comment, right? Which is like, hey, we've got ABK, we're cool on putting this on platforms,
all
Xbox,
screens.
Exactly, Xbox and consoles, all screens, PC, mobile, that kind of thing. And to me, that is something that shareholders want to hear. They want to make money. They want to maximize as much as possible. So there's one part of me that says, okay, this is the thinking from up top. But the question is this thinking only applicable to Activision Blizzard King, which we know that they've had, the whole FTC thing? Is this going to be something applicable to Bethesda? Is this going to be applicable to Xbox Game Studios, exclusives and older games? That's the rumors of the Hi-Fi Rush and the Sea of Thieves and everything that's going on. And that, to me, lies the problem. Like we said last time, which was the clear messaging, because as someone in the ecosystem, I think it's fair that they know what the true direction is, because we cannot not admit that the messaging is conflicting. Because when Tim Stewart came out, then comes Phil Spencer to say, hey, like we are not putting Game Pass or whatever the statement it was everywhere, whatever, which was kind of refuting what Tim said, but at the same time, slightly leaves the door open at this time. You know what I'm saying? So there's still, if you're in the ecosystem, there's the question as to where the future of your games goes. Because what happens now is every single Xbox exclusive will now be in question as far as, hey, so is this going to go there? What about that? Well, and the last thing I will say, though, even though these are, because a lot of people will push back at me and say, Cog, y'all jumping out the window, y'all crashing out on rumors, right? All I will say, that's fair, but all I will say is the sources that we are getting some of these rumors from are pretty substantial and have a good track record. And Microsoft's position may not even be that. This may be just an internal discussion of what's going on, of where they're thinking like they might go. I'm not. But that's that part. Now, just to get to the other part, which is now Larian, obviously Ubisoft's comments and stuff like that. Ubisoft's comments, to me, as far as, their aggressiveness as far as subscription services and they think where things are going to go. I mean, I didn't really I think some of it was taken out of context, but I do understand the general gist of where they think, okay, the industry is going to go this way. Gamers going to have to adapt on some level, but also we have streaming services. It's kind of like DVDs and stuff like that. I kind of get what they're saying, but I already know that verbiage is going to terrify a huge subset of gamers. And I already knew that was coming. Yeah. Now, Larian, which, I know people who do not like Game Pass and do not like subscription services, their comments today resonate with a lot of people because some people are like, good, see what they're saying. It's not good for them and it's not good for their. That's how I look at it. I think his comments were actually the most balanced. And he's just saying, look, and this is how I interpret it. For us, it does not make sense, right? And they don't necessarily want an ecosystem, a world where subscription services are the dominant thing, right? And he's just looking at, he also talked about discoverability, you know what I'm saying, as far as, how it is. But he also kept it real on a point as far as doing traditional model, there is tremendous risk. And that's the push pull. And he's not knocking anybody taking a subscription service bag. He's like, look, for you guys, that may be great, but he wants a world where both kind of exist. So I actually don't really have a problem too much with his comments. I thought his comments were very balanced and stuff like that. So I agree that it could be a balance. And the last point I'll say is I think Matt Piscatella from what you go? I can't. I forget the new name. Circani. Oh, it's to me like you MPD, you gonna be MPD. Your mama named you MPD, you're MPD to me. But as far as his comments, and he was kind of saying how subscription. I know people brought this point up. Subscription services flattened, and that some people want to protect their preferred model, and the idea that subs will become dominant is unsupported by data. And he brought that up because he said that only subservice on console and PC platforms only account for 10% of total video game content spending in the United States, right? And that's fair. The only thing that I will push back on is something what Christopher Drang said, which is like, I don't see anyone saying like, this is going to be the dominant model that is going to take over gaming. I've always looked at it, this is from my perspective, this is Microsoft's strategy, because Nintendo's not really doing it. They have Nintendo Online, but you know what I'm saying? That's not a core part of what they do. PlayStation, they have PlayStation Plus, they have PlayStation Premium, but the traditional sales and the way they do hardware and console sales is what they do. Microsoft's model is not that. So that's the only thing I'll push back and say is that they never. I don't remember seeing pundits saying that subscription services are going to be outside of Ubisoft, I say the dominant model. So that's where it is. I think this is great discussion. I think a lot of the points on all sides are valid. And I'm just curious where you're at with all of this, because there was a lot of information kind of dispersed today, and I thought a lot of it was really, really insightful stuff.
I think things are coming to a head now, and we're getting a better understanding collectively of where everyone is standing, where everyone stands in understanding what fears people have.
Yes.
Which my fear, to my recollection of anything I said, I've never had a fear of subscription service cannibalizing all of gaming. I feel like because we're in such a and it's, I guess you could say like a bit more of a emotional bias perhaps, but I've always felt because we're in the most creatively driven industry in the world, that physical media and the desire to sell games a la carte, like that can now just be someone's business model to stand apart if we go all subscription service, right? Like, well, you own this thing, and that can just drive sales and attention alone. So I just feel like that'll never truly disappear, and I don't think it'll be overtaken, because there are probably more people on this planet that are more interested in a particular game or two than are interested in subscribing to a gaming subscription service and throwing very little time at it collectively, because then it's just a money sink, like many subscription services become. But understanding now, seeing like what Swen said in response to Ubisoft versus what's being said about Xbox, I can see where I can identify more fears, and that lets me discuss them better, I think, in that I never was under the interpretation that, like, for example, Xbox and their vision was going to be the vision for everybody. Now, make no mistake, we went through the Insomniac hack. We saw there's a level of fear internally at PlayStation now that Xbox may, according to them, lap them and their current pillars, which they believe are outdated. And obviously, they feel they're very behind on the subscription service because they're looking at overhauling PlayStation Plus with 3.0. Like, these are all very telling things that Xbox is going somewhere where these major platform holders want to be. But to me, when I look at what makes each one stand out, like Nintendo, it's the gimmicky personality and their Disney-like charm with the franchises that people have grown up with, right? PlayStation, it's like the high profile, the premium experience, right?
Sure.
Xbox has long sought that identity, and I think with Game Pass, they found it. Like, that is their sliver of the market, if you will. Like, they, in response to the competition they were facing during the Xbox One era, made this service, which made them I think, much more competitive and attractive box to buy. So to me, it felt like that was their response to the competition they were facing, which is much different from Ubisoft having a subscription service and 2K having one and EA having one and everyone under the sun having one. And we all retreat from the storefronts and just set up our own subscription services and sell those to platforms. I don't even think that's across like, I think as a mega platform holder like Xbox, that is something you can do. I think as a third party publisher like a Ubisoft, doing just that doesn't sound sustainable. And I wonder if, like, in the conversations we've had in passing with Colin and our audience, if that's where the fear comes from, because in that sense, I don't know how sustainable that would be collectively. But I think for Xbox, like, we've seen maybe not the hard subscription numbers, but we've seen the uptick in content and services. Like, people are paying money for this. So it's working for them. That doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. But I think what Swen said, as you said, I completely agree. I think Swen is on the money that slide of the market has to exist, because I look at Disney Plus as this cautionary tale of, I was really excited, believe it or not, when Disney Plus was announced. I was like, oh, great. Like, I love Star Wars and I love Marvel. I can't wait to get more of that. And you get something like Mandalorian out of it. You get Book of Boba Fett, like these things that I really enjoyed. I have yet to see Andor, for example, but you know, you get a lot of Marvel shows that are getting churned out with clearly less care and attention.
That's fair.
Than they should be receiving after how titanic and dominant and how much of a standard setter the MCU really was. There was barely such a thing as like a bad MCU movie, truly, for a long stretch of time. Now it's like just super common thing to hear, like, yeah, the Marvels flopped and this show over here flopped, and S.H.I.E.L.K., they spent $250 million on a show, and it might not get a season 2. Like, it's becoming more common to hear that because like as Swen said, like, you start to do the cost benefit analysis, and it might be worth one season, but not 2. And so it's already tough enough, say, getting a sequel for a game you really like in a world completely dominated by subscription services. I understand the fear. I understand the trepidation, but that doesn't mean that I personally back down from the fact that I think this is good for Xbox's platform and their ecosystem, which is a difference and a level of nuance that I don't think many people are going to resonate with well, but that's how I feel. Is I think it works for Xbox. I don't think it works for everybody, because Xbox, I mean, again, it's working for them. It's become identifiable with their platform. They've set a standard, a business model attached to it, to the point where now you're getting a high profile game like, I think I throw out Lies of P there. Like, there's a big game to have on your platform day one. Mm-hmm. They're really getting good stuff there. And I'll speak more on the rest of it, but it seems like you have something to say.
No, yeah, you're cooking, because I think that's where we're in complete alignment, where it's like, you know, you said it perfectly. Don't think this works for everyone else. This may just be Microsoft's strategy. And you talked about, you know, the alignment as far as like games like Lies of P. And the way I've looked at their strategy, to me, is I think we've been honest from the standpoint that, you know, not everyone's going to take the Game Pass bag either, right? You're not necessarily going to see GTA 6 come up to you and say, hey, okay, because they're going to look at what they projectedly could make. Now, remember, the games industry, like Sven said, there is risk involved when you publish and do things the quote unquote traditional way, right? This is going to be a thing for Microsoft to offer certain people. Some people will take it, some people will not. But their strategy with the acquisition of studios is, the reality is to build up the strong first party lineup, right? And then get you into their subscription because it's like, okay, we have all these quality offerings with our first party lineup. And then, yeah, we may get Eliza P. We may get some indie games that'll jump in, but that's how they're looking at it. And I think you said it perfectly there. And I think there's nuance to this, right? I think that we have to take the information. And I definitely think what Sen said to really just to jump on really made a lot of sense. I really do. Because you kind of need, it's like the competition thing. You need these other things to exist for a healthy model. You don't want everything to be subscription service. You want every single platform holder to transform and say, okay, we are also doing Game Pass too, right? You know, kind of thing. I think this is a healthy middle point for everyone. So that's where I'm at with it.
100%. Yeah, I know we had a couple of write-ins here. Let me pull them up. We talked about Swen, but Mike Poe asked about, so with Matty working on his own indie game, I'm wondering what the Dukes think about Swen's comment. And that's why I think Game Pass is important, that it continues to exist. I know there are many people who are like vehemently against it. Like, it cannot exist. It's horrible. It's bad for us. But I'm not even saying this just by nature of my own game, which I don't know if it'll make it on Game Pass or not. We have yet to pitch again. We're pushing towards our alpha for this June. So we'll start pitching again then. So I'm in the dark on all of that. But I think of a game, I will go back to Liza P, right? I think of the discoverability that Game Pass as an individualized platform does provide, in that I don't think that game would have gradually picked up steam over the months after its release and been locked in for like a sequel and DLC if not for Game Pass. And there are countless examples. I think of Koei Tecmo's vocal support of Wolong. I think of Sega's vocal support of just every game they've thrown in there, from Yakuza to 2 Point Hospital. There are companies it really works for. I think of No More Robots. They say they've already committed. They said anything we do, Game Pass. Like, it just is good for us. Right. So business has never been this one-dimensional, like, it's cut and dry, 100% success rate for everybody. Different situations are going to demand different budgets, different offers. I mean, I know Game Pass isn't like this one-time thing. Like everyone gets a flat rate. Like, sometimes it's a flat rate plus bonus, or how many downloads you get, how much engagement you get. I'm sure there's a number of ways they rock out a contract. Is there exclusivity attached? So it really depends. Everyone has their own vision of where their game's going to go. Like, games are no longer just these singular releases. They are like, we're going to do this one release, maybe on this one platform. And then in a year, we're going to build up our war chest from the sales, and we'll do this definitive edition, and we'll put it on all platforms. And with that, we'll do like DLC, and then maybe we'll give it to Game Pass, or maybe we'll give it to a Humble Bundle, or maybe we'll give it to Epic Game Store. And you can't just release your game once and that's it. It's about that roadmap of releases. Mm-hmm. And so as an indie dev, like, I find Game Pass tantalizing because for me and the budget we're working with, like, yeah, I could fund the whole fucking game if Xbox wants to throw a couple mil our way and then some. Just that would be it right there for a Game Pass deal. Like, I wouldn't even need a traditional publisher at that point. That's the benefit that people like me at the bottom rung of the ladder have compared to someone like Swen Vink, who had a game in early access, tons of money poured into a game that had an act developed already. And then you had 2 more acts to go with a huge war chest. And now, according to Steam data, as we'll talk about, you made over $500 million.
Exactly.
It's a much different world for guys like him, way higher on the ladder, versus people in the AA and indie space. And that's something that we have overemphasized on this show, where I do feel like I'm running in circles on that topic a little bit, where I don't disagree with Swen, but and he says it himself. He's like, if it works for you, that makes sense. That's good. I feel like there's been collectively that lack of acknowledgement from the broader gaming sphere that this is a really good thing, like to make certain games happen in general, or games that wouldn't have been on the map as well are now there, where people go, I'll try it. And that can go really far. Does that mean that everyone needs to go subscription based? Not necessarily, but I don't think we've ever said that before.
No, absolutely.
That's how I feel about it as a dev personally.
Yeah. No, I love what you said. And just the final point I would say, just in terms of, pretty much everyone's situation, in terms of the major platform holders, as far as, and then also in terms of, different developers, right? And the sizes and the scopes. And, one thing, again, we learned from the Insomniac leaks as far as these gaming budgets. With the traditional model, these gaming budgets are really out of control. And then we're talking about, $70 games potentially becoming $80 games and $90. So to me, there's like, I don't think there's like a right way to do things. I think everyone has their own way that works for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's and you said it perfectly with Larian, because people forget like crowdfunding, getting yourself to a point and then being able to finish it. We've seen the opposite with horror stories of games and people still waiting for incomplete games with millions of have been pumped in and the game never came out, promises not made. We've seen recently scams in game, what I mean? What's that? The dudes. I gotta remember.
The day before.
Yeah, like we've seen it. Like all of these models, including the subscription model, has risk. All of them, but you have to look at your situation and what works best for you. And I think Sven said it best. Like it's a world where all exists, and I think that's still healthy for the market. And like you said, for a smaller game that's coming out that you're trying to put on, discoverability is important. Discoverability is huge. You out there, you know how it is. We sit there, we look at the Game Pass pick of the week or whatever we do, or we look at the release days cadence, and we sit there, we go, yo, I can't believe y'all coming out at the same time as this. But sometimes the little guy don't got no choice. He got to come out, right? So it's tough. And to have your game with the same real estate as a, Call of Duty or a Starfield or whatever big Game Pass lies. You see what I'm saying? Like that helps you. You're like, okay, these are the Game Pass picks. I'm part of this lineup that could get this extra little promotion and extra boost. Oh, and by the way, I got a bag to secure myself, you know what I'm saying, while I complete and stuff like that. So again, everyone's situation is different. I understand all the points here. This is great discussion as far as the industry, I feel.
Yeah. As for the physical collection of games, Site Coffee, I know you asked about that, and I don't want to say I'm like giving up, but I'm just noticing more and more that like while content will be fully on disc, like these things serve mostly as like DRM unlock keys and that's it. Like it's not how it used to be, and it hasn't been for a while. And I think it's just from additional information that I've taken in that it's like it's still important. Like I really support what Insomniac did with Spider-Man 2, where they put out a statement like, hey, everything's on the disc. I was like, I love that. I want more of that. But the reality is like, I mean, we're a connected world, so maybe it's not the end of the world when I say this, but like, the idea that, oh, you can't access unless you first go online with the game, then you can play it offline. I'm like, what is that then? Exactly. So when it comes to a future of subscription service, it's the same thing I said about like Nintendo, where their subscription service, while it's priced in a way where it's kind of hard to argue with, like $20 a year, I push back on it because they monetize back compat when they used to have something that exists that was far better. Yeah, and that's the other issue I would take with a subscription service future, is replacing the far better option. Like you could have the Nintendo subscription service, that's cool, and put your Mario Kart tracks in there and Animal Crossing islands and all that other shit, but that shouldn't replace the virtual library. Like it just shouldn't. That's just common sense, I feel. Let people buy these things a la carte. So I share everyone's disdain for that type of stuff as well. But we'll see where they go with it.
Yeah.
All right. Good opening. Let's get into S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. It releases September 5th, 2024. We finally have a release date. Portugal. The Mark writes in, hey, Maddie and Cog. So the long-awaited, highly anticipated next game from GSC Game World in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 has a final release date of Thursday, September 5th, 2024. The studio devs and the respective friends, family, and Ukrainians have been through absolute tragedy with the assault and invasion by Russia on Ukraine. I have no words and can't put into words the horror that they must have gone through. It feels trivial to talk about an entertainment product, but I am very much looking forward to the release of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. The high-fidelity trailers and visceral gameplay have been amazing. An FPS built with heart and passion of developers during the toughest of times. What are your thoughts, chaps? This being an Xbox marketed game and Game Pass day one, I hope it is a massive success. Have a good one, comrades. See you in September. Much love from the UK. Thank you, Portugal, the Mark, for writing in. So yeah, Cog, we finally have a release date for this one. After all this time, naturally, we understood why the wait was there. This was supposed to come out years ago. And I thought this might be a first half of the year release date, but here we are, September, but they're calling it, their words, not Portugal the Marks. They called it in their post the final release date, as in like it's got to go out at this point. So, obviously I'm very excited for what I've seen so far. I just can't help but escape that fear. I can't escape rather that fear in my head of like, what if this is a train wreck? Because it's just going to be a tough review process, no doubt about it. Like if I have to review this and it sucks, like I'm going to do my job, but it's going to not be easy. It's going to, they've gone through so much. There's the least that they would want as a win is for this game to be loved. Right. But I'm very excited for it. As a Fallout fan, I always hear how STALKER's the series you got to play if you love Fallout. And so I feel very confident I will like a lot about this game. Here's hoping it is as fantastic as it looks. But what do you make, Cog, of this September 5th release date already shaping out at least part of Xbox's holiday window, although we know this is a 3-month exclusive, possibly longer now. We don't know if they've had time to work on any ports at all. So we don't know if this ends up remaining on Xbox longer. But what do you make of what's happening here with this sequel?
Well, I mean, I definitely, obviously the initial surprise was we thought maybe top of the year, earlier in the year, release for Stalker 2. And, now we get the release date of September 5th. So, obviously I like them getting more time, and I like them being able to put as much polish as they can with the conditions that they've been working in, and this has been challenges that no studio should have to go through. So look, I'm pulling for them. I'm hoping the game's great. I've heard like you, I've heard that Stalker games are amazing. This would be my first Stalker game. So I'm really looking forward to playing it. From what I've seen, it looked very intriguing. And look, I think that the main discussion is what you said, which is like, no one's going to try to, everyone's pulling for them, but no one's going to grade it on a curve as a result of the situation. We're going to be honest about it. But hopefully it's a great game, and they get, the best of both worlds, which is the game is still phenomenal despite these conditions. And then I'll tell you what, if this game is great, they are going to be lauded. Like, bro, because I remember those vidocs. I remember those actual conditions of, you remember seeing devs taking up arms. You seeing, you've seen, the destruction in how they were working and what they were working through, right? So, in a time of combat and war and still be making a game, you cannot but not have empathy for this studio. So if this game is good, you best believe they're going to get a lot of love from the gaming community and gaming awards, all the award shows, stuff like that, because what they tried to accomplish is truly remarkable in these circumstances.
I would say that the Game Awards, as the biggest platform when it comes to video game awards, should celebrate them in some way, but my confidence in them is at a low, so I don't anticipate that shit happening, but they should be celebrated just for the fact that the game is going to release. And if it's a win, man, that's going to be incredible. And I really think everyone is pulling for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What else do we have here? This one people will love. Jez Corden said this on the Xbox 2 podcast, quote, "I've got evidence that there are discussions about the Final Fantasy VII remake for Xbox," end quote. So,
I love the accent.
So Jez has a really easy accent to imitate, I feel. I really feel it. Just something about it. It's like a very subtle one.
Yeah, it's very posh.
So, Cog.
Yo.
Here we are again.
Here we are.
This is, funny enough, Final Fantasy VII's last set of rumors marked the beginning of us putting our faces in thumbnails.
Yes. So, classic.
Great memories, man.
Classic. Batty Cloud and Dominican Barrett.
So, Cog.
Yo.
The Ironclad source has evidence that there are at least discussions happening here. And I think we have good reason to believe that beyond anything Jez says, because, Xbox and Square Enix renewed their vows on stage on a public forum to kind of say like, hey, look, we're going to work together more. And then we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Square Enix saying they plan to bring their games beyond the typical platforms. So I think it's pretty locked in that this is going to happen. I think the real question, Xbox fans who have been extremely patient and will have their patience tested with the sequel coming out next month, when do we see it?
Yeah, that's the question. I think for me, I don't know if you caught the latest Final Fantasy VII trailer. right? And they just put out a new, it's phenomenal. They are going there, boy. They are really shaking things up. I gotta, yeah, bro, it's going there. So again, at the end of the promo, you see, the disclaimer in small print, on not available on other platforms until like May 29th. And I would have to think for PlayStation promo, it would not be in their Sony's best interest to have to put that out there, to have to make that visual, even though it may be legal, right? In my opinion, if you plan to extend it, that to me feels very Square induced, because even though it's a Sony, timed exclusive, I can't see, it doesn't benefit them to say, yo, by the way, this is only going to be here until then it can open up. Like, it doesn't benefit you from optics. And Sony is about optics. So to me, I'm not saying that on May 30th or June 1st or whatever, what I'm saying? That, there it is. Not like that. But from a legal standpoint, I think that's when the process begins. Now, the question becomes, how does Xbox get it, is my thing, which is, remember, because we're talking about a series of games, right? So is it a situation where Xbox says, you know what, let's wait, and so Xbox Square said, let's wait, and then give the Xbox community the compilation of all of them, right? Or, hey, let's just start the process now and then catch them up to the first one, and then integrate with two. I always forget the name. It's Rebirth, there's so many damn names with these games.
Remake, and then integrate is with the Yuffie DLC and the remake all in one. So I would hope they would give Xbox fans that. So you have, because that's a pretty important piece that sets up Rebirth. Yeah.
And that to me, and how much time, it's going to take to port and stuff like that. And, if Jez has good sources, are the Xbox dev kits going out over there, that kind of thing. To me, it's only a matter of time. It's just a matter of what makes sense for Square for the time for porting, and then legally from the time of when they can actually announce, kind of thing. So that's where it's at. But yeah, I feel this. Once Phil's on stage, and the Square CEOs and all, they're like, yeah, we want to bring our stuff up. That to me shows that they want more profit. They want this thing to be everywhere. And a lot of their other Square titles, like we see with Octopath too.
100%. Yeah. I think if I were to throw a dart at the board and say like an announcement place, I feel like this is kind of that Persona moment of maybe at the summer showcase is sort of like, hey, this JRPG that's long overdue is coming to the platform. And if you could kind of keep that combined with like an announcement of Rebirth, since the time would be up by that point.
Good point.
Pretty good, right? So just like, hey, you're getting Remake soon and then Rebirth later. I don't know, just some type of commitment there. Because if Xbox wants to bone up in Japan, there's no denying that you need Final Fantasy. What? Come on.
That was definitely plausible. You said they're going to bone up. You said they're going to bone up in Japan.
I mean, come on.
But look, I'm with you on this though. I think this is a perfect summer showcase. I think, Maddie, you on it. This is a great summer, showcase, Xbox Direct, main showcase. Now, so you come out there and tell your audience, and you show that cloud, you show that on that stage. Yeah, people will be like, "Yo, that's a nice set it off," and then you give them a time frame of when they come, or you just announce that it's coming. That's big.
Yeah. Bone her up, man. Bone her up.
Can't with you.
Just get on your stage and take your pants off, right? Why not?
Meat on the table energy. I got you.
It's funny. Ben was just telling us that we needed we need a shorts moment, because we tried to do one last week about the Call of Duty conversation.
There we go.
I think that's it. Hold on. Let me DM Ben.
Let's DM him. Let's hit him with it now. Yeah, you got to get that. That was classic material. Very pause-worthy. Wow. Meat on the table, bone her up. What?
All right. Boom.
There we go.
Sick.
Sounds like Purdue fan. I think you got that because you're a Purdue fan. Boiler up, bone her up. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Frostpunk 2 is coming to PC Game Pass as the game releases in the first half of 2024. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the trailer for this, but this looks really good. Really, 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 really good. The power of Game Pass, man. Guess what I'm going to try this year? Frostpunk. I've never played the first one, but it looks like a city builder, but like you're making really tough choices. Like it's very dystopian almost. I know nothing about it. It's awesome though. It looks really good. So I'm excited about it. Have you had a chance to check it out?
I'll check that. I'm rechecking it out again. It's the
voice acting and it's so good.
Yeah, it's the look. It's the look of it.
Yeah,
and it's like very like it's kind of like, is it cloudy or snowy biomes going on that?
I imagine snowy. Frostpunk.
Yeah. Frostpunk, you know, like definitely good catch. I'm an idiot. Nah, bro, it looks cool. It looks cool. Obviously, I'm not the biggest city builder guy, but if it's on Game Pass, you know, hey, it ain't gonna hurt, but don't fire that bad boy up and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I got that, and what's that other crazy? There's another crazy game coming out that what is it? The Pokemon with guns one. That one's building.
Oh, Power World.
Yeah, that's building up Steam a little bit.
Yeah, so, that one's kind of wild.
Yeah, discoverability, games that I would never try for the most part. If they were just regular paid releases, this is what Game Pass does. Now I have no choice. All right, let me see what's going on with Frostpunk.
All right, well, we'll see in a matter of months. Next up here, we've got, according to a LinkedIn profile of former project lead at Raven Software, Michael Gamelt, who by the way, worked there for I was looking at his profile. He worked there for over 20 years. So feels pretty verifiable here. Writes that he was working on a sequel to a classic Raven IP since 2019. He was a part of a small incubation team, I guess, setting the ground floor for the game. So this is, I think, a pretty big deal given that Mr. Philly Phil was big on Hexen.
Yes.
And I wonder. Yes. For me, selfishly, I wouldn't call this a classic, but
what you want?
Singularity.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Singularity.
Gonna say it.
Like that, like Xbox is sitting on their own BioShock, and they have no idea. They have no idea. They're still talking about Hexen, man. We're in Hexen.
I'm not a Hexen guy, but I know it's big. Singularity's big, and then I know my wish will most likely never happen. But I am an Ultimate Alliance dude.
Yeah,
and that's a Raven joint. And the first Ultimate Alliance.
Again.
Oh, bro, I absolutely adored that game. I played that game so many times, finished it so many times, got all the suits, and then they have the RPG, the skill tree mechanics for the characters. The only thing is some of the suits, did the suits have different characteristics? I'm trying to remember that.
Yeah, they had different stats.
Different stats and stuff like that. So that part was a little weird, but it added such an RPG mechanic to it.
That game is
so good.
They made an incredible action RPG like that. It just every sequel in the Ultimate Alliance series just got worse. And
you're right.
Got away from what we the first
went away.
Dialogue choices, comic mission, RPG systems. Bro, that choice between Nightcrawler and Jean Grey. Come on, man. You're so right, bro. If they're bringing that back, I would shit myself.
I had Surfer and Galactus in that joint.
Yeah.
Who was the joint? You named it. Yo, them comic missions was hard, bro.
I know.
Them comic missions where you take and they would
really you had to go by yourself, and it was like a co-op game.
Yes, you had to go by yourself, and it would tell the story, a very concentrated comic story. Like Daredevil's going in, I'm the this from Hell's Kitchen, and I have to do that. Like, bro, it was
the opening monologue.
The opening monologue for each one, and then, oh man, the only thing you had to find them damn discs all over the maps. You had to search them discs was hard to find sometimes. Yeah, great game, man. It's isometric, 4-player. Man, if they could just go back to the essence of that, forget all of that, because they try to get too cute with the Civil War, if I remember.
I always give them credit, though. They did that first. Everyone was flipping about that Captain America movie. And to me, I was kind of flat on that. Not because it's a bad movie, but I was like, I've seen this before. Ultimate Alliance 2 did it first. But I got to choose what side I went to. That was cool as hell. So,
absolutely. And then Switch, I was just like, damn, man, why Switch?
I know. People thought I was crazy. I stand on my square. Last week, I said that a lot of people thought I was clamoring in the misrepresentation of my statements, naturally. A lot of people thought I was sitting there going yo, Xbox, come on, get Breath of the Wild. I'm mouth breathing out here over that shit. I was just thinking games I think the Rabbids series could come over, especially I think Astral Chain. I definitely think something like... what you just brought up with Ultimate Alliance 3 come over. Those are the types of games I was thinking. I don't think their tent poles are going to come over here.
No.
Come on now. I'm not that dumb. I'm dumb. I'm not that dumb.
I mean, there is some rumors out right now, articles right now in terms of Nintendo looking to expand and put some of their IPs or in collaboration with other platforms and stuff. So we've seen Ubisoft be one of the recipients with Rabbids, but there are talk about extending to other different properties. Hey, I'm all for it if you want to bring that up. For me, that last 3 over and get that nice port from was it Team Ninja that did that. So
yeah, that game was fun though.
It was fun.
It was fun. It just I liked it more than I think Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yes, it's better than 2.
Yeah,
it's better than 2. Art style, cell shaded, it's cool. It was fun. It has cool systems.
Really good.
Yes, my only issue is the Nintendo Switch Online and doing that cooperative with them was just.
I never tried co-op on that. It was a bad.
Oh. And then the voice chat situation. I'm in an Xbox voice chat with my friends to try to play it. I'm just like
awful. That's bad.
I can't with this, man. Nintendo. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. We got another rumor here that I just wanted to scoop up and talk about a little bit because it just seems like it's here every month or two. The Gears collection rumors are swirling again, and this time it's from middle-aged game guy who says the build is finished and being tested. Mr. Scott, if you're nasty, writes in, Duke Boys. The rumors are flying out there that the Gears collection game could have been in testing phase and releasing sooner than expected. Gentlemen, could the Gears collection finally grace our screens in 2024? Have a mad world kind of day. Now, I considered not putting this in on the off chance that this is the 5th game. That's going to be at the developer direct. But I'm willing to take a chance on ourselves here and say
yes.
It's not. I don't know. Like if they're calling it not a major game, according to Insider Gaming, I feel like this would be kind of a big fucking deal. But nonetheless, Cog, we see this in the rumors again. I think with how many times the rumors have picked up, I feel like if Xbox isn't working on this now, they should get started on it. Right? Like I just feel there's so many people who want it. I feel like it's a series that was there during the 360 days where like it was that and Halo. Like those were your 2 tent poles that defined that generation and lifted you up to another level. And I think they deserve, like I think Halo doesn't deserve the sole honor of having the Master Chief Collection. Like it's a rare, fun type of collection to have all of those multiplayer games in one, all of those campaigns in one. And Gears has that similar DNA. People have many memories with the story as they do with the multiplayer. I think it stands out like a sore thumb that you have Gears 1 in the Ultimate Edition.
Agreed.
2 and 3 are back compat. 4, 5 are on Xbox One. It just bring them together. Bring it together in one big happy family. That's how I feel about it, Cog. But I'm wondering where you stand on yet another rumor here with the Gears collection, if it's ever happening at all, and should it happen at all.
Yeah, shout out to Mag. I know Mag. He's a cool dude. Like I'm going to stay consistent. Like. COG is not personally clamoring for this. I'll be honest. I'd rather the focus for Coalition be on new IP and Gear 6. I'm just going to be real. But I do understand how much that means to the Xbox community to get a Gears collection, how much it means to say, okay, besides the back compat, let's give these joints a brand new coat of paint. I had that was actually the first and I met him. Probably the first time I met Rob Ferguson was Gears 1 Remake. And I got a chance to sit down with him right side by side next to him and play the game and go through the changes and, to see how excited they were at the time. It was like 1080p 60, and just seeing everything redone, it looked phenomenal, right? So to your point, it does kind of feel weird that 2, say 2 and 3 and the other one was a Judgment, never got that treatment, right? So just put them all in a suite. I just got to see how they're going to handle the multiplayer because the multiplayer I'm not the biggest fan of, and I just want to see I'm just curious how they handle it. But I will say, though, I would be open to, one of my favorite things that Gears ever done and doesn't get enough credit for is Horde mode. 5-player Horde mode is one of my favorite pastimes in Gears. If they want to bring that in and add a spin to it, I'm for it. So, yeah, man, Gears collection. I know the Gears gang, they want it bad. If it happens, great. I'm of the mindset, like, I ain't losing sleep over it, though. I'm just like, hey, Coalition, you give me Gear 6. You can announce that first, but hey.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be done by Coalition, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, someone out of house.
Yeah, outsource it, just oversee it, make sure they do what they got to do. Yeah, because we listen, Coalition they're just so valuable to me. Like, they were the OGs. They had Xbox with their back for so long. They represented the new. They kind of took the title from 343, that we're the guys, as the number one. Like, you can't dismiss Coalition. And they work magic with Unreal Engine. Like, it is just, you want to showcase Xbox graphical fidelity. I tell people all the time, throw in that Hive Busters, see what's popping out here. Like, they really kill it. So I'm really looking forward to them on the next version of Gears and a new IP. I would love to see what Coalition do outside of Gears. Like, Coalition is them dudes. People sleep.
Yeah. They're helping out like every studio at this point at Xbox. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you just always see a new report. Constantly like Coalition assisting with like this campaign, this story, this QA. I'm just like, dude, they're just like, let them work on their own thing. Like they were not brought in here just to be the super sidekick. Like, you gotta let them cook.
Let them cook, man.
All right. We got up next here. This was just added at the final minute. Elder Scrolls Castles.
What this?
Officially announced. And this one came straight from the Bethesda Game Studios Twitter account, and about 2 hours ago from the time we started recording. They say, we're excited to finally share the Elder Scrolls Castle, our new mobile game from the team behind Fallout Shelter. The team has been hard at work for the last few years, and we absolutely adore it. In Castles, you build your own dynasty, where every day in our world is a year in the game's world. Citizens are born, they die, rulers change, and can be betrayed. This soft launch is one of the first steps as we get your feedback and make changes before it launches worldwide. Let us know what you think and pre-register at elderscrolls.bethesda.net/castles to be among the first to play. The Elder Scrolls Castle is currently available in the Philippines and will be available to more countries in the coming months. For any questions, see our customer support page. So yeah, this one's been on like the storefront for a long while now. This is the first time they've officially recognized it, which is kind of weird. I don't know how this all happened, but nonetheless, this is the next game from the team behind Fallout Shelter, and Fallout Shelter was a cash cow. So I'm wondering why they're doing this now and why they didn't, pardon the pun, pocket this game until there was something to announce alongside it, because I think Fallout Shelter was an amazing game on its own, but there was no doubt that a lot of the surge of players there was because Fallout 4 was still 6 months away, and there was an incredible amount of excitement. Like, now we're used to like, oh, there's a shadow drop, or like, oh, this is only a month away, or this is only 2 months away. It's a much different world now, where Bethesda, one of the barriers that they broke down that I think was the most important one they did was the release date one, which is like, everyone watching that E3 showcase for Fallout 4 was under the belief like, we'll see this game in a year or two. But they were like, no, we'll see you in 6 months. Like, go get it then. And it stuck to that date. And it was a huge moment for them. And it definitely drove them a ton of money because of the excitement behind it. So I'm surprised to see Castles is almost this individualized release here, but I think that just suggests that like literally nothing is happening with Elder Scrolls right now outside of ESO. So they just felt comfortable launching it on its own. Nonetheless, we'll keep an eye on it. Cog, any quick thoughts here on Elder Scrolls Castles?
Shout out to the mobile gang. Mobile back in the building. Y'all gonna hear a lot about this. Y'all gonna hear a lot about these announcements. Yeah, I mean, it actually looked like something I would be interested in.
Yeah, Fallout Shelter was great.
Yeah, it's giving me massive Chalice vibes with the whole generational thing of like people that died and move on, and the kids and this one and that one. So I'm curious to see how extensive that gets. And it looks like they have all different what is it, like the typical Elder Scrolls, different races. We'll see if they play into Khajiit and all that stuff. But I'm curious though if it really picks up, if any of these mobile games pick up. I'm very curious if there will ever be like Game Pass ports. Let's say these things pop off. I'm very curious if they're going to remain.
Fallout Shelter's on consoles,
right. Because thank you for reminding me. I wasn't sure.
Elder Scrolls Blades is on Switch. Yeah.
That's the thing to look out for. Looking out for that synergy, because I think if any one of these hit, we're gonna see these strategies applied in a post ABK world, and I think it would benefit them tremendously.
On Game Pass,
bro. Listen, I know there's a lot of moms out here that get busy with cranny, because moms be telling me, my mom's. I think it was Saul. He was like, yo. He had to take the phone away.
Wow.
like it gets crazy. Like when mom don't want to admit how much spending is going on, that's when you know. So yeah, I'm telling you, Xbox is going to want to merge these communities somewhat on some level if they continue to have success.
All right. We have next here is Starfield's biggest patch revealed. By the way, I say this because I made a video on this, and a lot of people were like, here we go. These YouTubers are calling everything the biggest update yet. Bethesda's words. Good not point. Ours. Bethesda's words. That's why, for example, in my video title, it was in quotes. because they write here, next week on January 17th, we'll be putting our biggest Starfield update yet into Steam beta with over 100 fixes and improvements. Here is a plan with a planned release date for all players 2 weeks later, which this was posted here on January 12th. So they actually announced that there was going to be a small delay. So by the time people are listening, it actually might not have been out yet.
Yeah.
But they talked about some of the things you could expect. They say, this update contains a multitude of fixes to quests, Eye of the Storm issues, such as being unable to dock with the Legacy, or data transfer not starting and temples not showing up into the unknown will no longer prevent Constellation from exploring the cosmos. I think this one, Cog, you'll really appreciate here. I don't know if you saw this. I'll link this to you just to be safe, because I think you'll like this one. Additionally, this update brings stability improvements and numerous graphic improvements, ranging from additional widescreen support to improved textures, lighting, and shadows, with a little bit of a before and after image, which, taking a look at the character model, is actually a pretty noteworthy improvement, which I did not expect for Starfield. I already thought it looked fine as was, but they've improved it once more, so it does look graphically better. And lastly, they say other fixes and improvements include sun disk geometry, planet ring shadows, bulldozed objects reappearing when returning to an outpost, ship hatches marked inaccessible, and another fix for asteroids following ships. The full update notes will be posted next week when the Steam beta is released. So naturally, this led to a lot of people going, well, this fixes none of my problems. And I'm going to say here what I said in my video, and it's not to be kicking anyone out of here. If you are not sold on Starfield, if you played it, you gave it an honest chance, you didn't like it, whatever it may be, if you did not enjoy Starfield, looking at this update says exactly what I told you all in the first place. There is not going to be a one single patch that the white switch goes off. I love it now. That's not going to happen. Accept it. It's not. What you should do if you were displeased with Starfield is vote with your time, your wallet, whatever it may be. Do not play the game or look at it until you see that Shattered Space trailer, because by then you'll have a clear idea of how Bethesda intends to really address the game's core issues beyond these free updates, which are going to be piecemealed out, and it's going to bite them in the ass up until this trailer, which hopefully they come out swinging. Because no doubt this same cycle, I'm looking at the response now, this same cycle of like, so nothing to make the game more fun. Oh, wow. What an update. This is your biggest one yet. I totally get it. But don't expect any of these singular free updates from survival mode to new ways to travel to fix things. Wait for the expansion. That is when everything will come together, and maybe they'll have something that compels you more. But I don't think it'll be a single free update that pulls you into Starfield, truthfully, which is what I said from the get-go. There are going to be up to 6 to 7 week gaps between each of these major updates. I would not hold my breath that suddenly with survival mode, like, I'm okay with the lack of exploration and the massive fast traveling. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're inviting pain and hurt into your life, and I'm trying to tell you don't. So that is my take on the Starfield patch. More a response to the responses, which I understand and are totally fair. I'm just saying that it's just you're gonna continue to be upset. You're just gonna continue to invite that pain into your life. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let it be like Fallout 76. Let the people who enjoy the thing that you think is really bad, let them just enjoy it for a little bit. And then when the update when the big expansion comes around, and if that's really bad, fucking give it to Bethesda then, man, because then they deserve it. They deserve it twofold at that point.
Only thing don't put my baby next to 76 now. We do it. That is not. That's
the
not
conversation online. You think they're like neck and neck right now?
I don't pay that noise. I don't pay no dudes that about 400 hours and then decided liked it, then decided not to like it afterward. Look, if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's all good. Like, I love it. So I really don't care about what nobody talk about. But for me personally, to be fair, what you said in reference to, expectation with these patches, that is valid. That is valid. And the way I look at it is, stability, fix what you got to do, quest line, especially PC community, they deserve that. They deserve a stable, well-running, non-buggy game. And for anyone suffering, I'm not trying to make light of that. If you can't finish a quest or whatever. But to your point, where I'm in complete alignment is I'm looking at that shattered space after all of this back end stuff is, done, and then boom. But for the contingent that love it, keep loving your game, baby. Don't let nobody take your joy, baby. We out here, I'm in the spaces, we doing our thing. We humming, everything is good for us. So I'm not worrying about people's feelings. I don't do it. No one's gonna tell me how my food tastes. I don't care what they talk about. So that's where I'm at with it, and will continue to be.
Excellent. All right, next up on the list here, this one personally extremely exciting for me. I see there are no long-term deep cut Mr. Matty fans out there, because someone would have wrote in about this. Smite 2 has been announced with a closed alpha arriving spring 2024. You might not know this. One of my most played games ever, Smite.
Wow.
1,000+ hours, easily.
Wow.
Easily.
Did not know this.
Yeah, there's actually a little Mr. Matty archive. You want to go back to 2012, I think, Matty, or 2011, something really old. You can find a video of me talking about Smite's beta. I do not claim anything I say in that video, because I don't know. I was in high school. I probably said something out of pocket in that video. But nonetheless, Smite videos are up on the channel. And yeah, man, like Smite, seriously, like I love this MOBA because I think for console players, they jived with it because it was more of like a third-person action game. Whereas like I didn't click with the MOBAs originally that are top down. I went on like a whole League of Legends addiction kick. And when I saw my hour count, how quickly that ramped up, I was like, all right, I need to give my single player game some love now. That was like my destiny, where like, that siphoned your single player time. That's what was happening to me, bro. MOBAs are dangerous because I love MOBAs. They have that perfect progression curve, that power curve. And when you are stomping dudes out, it is the best feeling ever.
Wow.
But yeah, Smite is a game, for those who don't know, where it is a MOBA about the pantheon of gods that you know and love, from Loki to Thor to Amus and Cobb and Neith, and the list goes on. Just every god or goddess you've heard of in any realm of this world is here in Smite, and they're playable. There's over 100 of them, and they all have their own diverse kits. And I mean, it's just such a fun game. It's so much fun. I don't know how else to put it. Like, just every match.
I learned a lot about it this past Sunday. Oh, yeah, I got a story. Be good.
Yeah, every match is a flick, is how I define it. Like, just there's new strats to deploy. But Smite 1 was built on Unreal Engine 3. Smite 2 is being built on Unreal Engine 5. And you can feel the limitations of Smite. Yeah, it was just didn't look good. They weren't making massive, meaningful changes. Player base was falling off. And with Smite 2, the question really was, like, I think Overwatch 2 tainted the well a bit. Like, okay, does this really need a sequel? Why aren't you just doubling down on support on the base game? But I think this time it's warranted, not only because the game was starting to feel dated, but I think they did need a significant shot in the arm. And while they said that it's going to take, I think 200 something days, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of days, to if they were to port over all of the skins from the base game, they're giving you your money back in gems to then spend on the in-game store. So the money you spend on the game is coming back to you, and you can spend it on the new skins they put out, which is a great starting point there. What I've seen of the game, just visually, especially in lighting, already looks much better. And I cannot wait. I don't know if I'll get into the closed alpha per se, but really, really excited about this. This is about to be a dangerous year for me. You want to know how dangerous this is?
Smite. Oh, I'm learning.
I told Laylee.
I
was like, guess what got announced? What? Smite 2. Bro, she saw a ghost. Her face, she's like, oh no. Because look,
she knows what happens.
Yeah, when we first started dating, there was a game that I was playing that whenever like she was texting me and like I didn't hit her back for like 3-4 hours at a time. Every time she was cool with him, she's like, what's up? What were you doing? I was like, playing Smite. And so she's like, I already got flashbacks. I said, look, it's gonna be a test of our relationship, right? I said, we're gonna fight through this. Because I said, between Smite 2 and the Dragon Ball Super card game going digital, I said, look, we're really gonna have to schedule our together time it's very important to me that I spend time with my other babies too. You see?
Listen. She knows what she signed up for. Like, you know,
she's for all the jokes of me, she has never complained once, but she definitely was like, "Oh boy."
What was the face? The face was like, "Oh god."
Because I'm like, dude, even in my house, my family knows Smite was a problem. It's like, now I walk the dog, I'm like, yo, I can't pause a mobile, Mom. I'm like, come on, don't you get it?
Oh, I love
that. Come on now.
Bro, they're online friends. Listen, man, I've heard stories about this game.
When you're playing a MOBA, there's no reeling it back in. Once that game starts to slip and you know you're the root cause in a 5-man team, that's it, bro. It's like you're in for a night of pain. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. You gotta love to hear it because shout out. I have my homegirl Atomic Mari on she used to be part of Smosh Games and she's super cool. And we had her in the realm on ILP this past Sunday. So she's actually owner of her own esports team. And basically I was like, how did you even get into esports like that? And she basically said, oh, yo, no, I went to a Smite esports event. She was like, oh my God, I fell in love. And then they would talk about the Smite 2 announcement. So she's in heaven. Like you two are in the same pocket right now. Yeah. Like they're about to go crazy. And I just see the pure joy on her face. I'm like, yep, I already know, girl. You lost to the wind with this one, right? You already know. So yeah, Smite community is no joke. The esports scene is no joke. And she said, yeah, it was so, she said every play, everything felt like the energy in the building was kind of like every play was bases loaded, bottom of the knife for someone down. It was that kind of energy. So yeah, she absolutely.
I didn't watch much competitive because I just don't get into MOBAs in that way. Yeah. Like I sweat, but I don't sweat that much where I gotta know what the pros are doing because I take some of the fun out of I enjoyed before Loki was really good. Like I enjoyed playing him just because they gave him they did a lot of Nickelodeon partnerships. So they gave him a Raphael Ninja Turtle skin. It's like, I want to play as Raph, man. Like, I don't care if he's bottom tier. Like, I want to play as him. And I don't want these pros to ruin my fun.
To ruin your fun.
Yeah. So I'm very excited because they're doing little changes. Like they're turning jungling into actual jungling. Like for anyone who's played a MOBA, particularly League, when you're in the bushes, you're invisible. No one can see you. But in Smite, you're just kind of roaming around pockets of the map that are within away from the lanes. But now if you're actually in the bushes near mid lane, you'll actually see you're invisible completely. So you can really gank someone hardcore. And I can't wait. I cannot wait, bro. It's going to be such a great start to the year. Love it.
I love it.
All right. Next up, Cog, one for you, right? This is how I organize the show. One for me, one for you. 10. Count them 10 SEGA Classics have been greenlit according to Insider Gaming, with the 3 new ones being, because we already know 5, so there's a missing 2, but 3 new ones: Panzer Dragoon, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Sakura Taiwan. Now, Cog is the Sega kid, local Sega kid. Anything stand out to you here?
Panzer Dragoon for sure. Okay. That is a classic. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my bro Solve. This is one of his babies. Now, I got a Sega confession here. The other 2, I am not familiar with because most of them were Saturn releases, if I'm not mistaken. Neon Genesis and Cog betrayed Sega during this time. I was a PlayStation fanboy through and through. I felt the Saturn was not it. It was not to my liking. And I was like, nah, that ain't it. I don't care what y'all do. Like, you know when you mad at your boo, you like, y'all lost your way.
Yes.
And Solve was very upset with me. He bought the Saturn day one. And I never forget. I was like, remember, I had my PlayStation day one. He had his Saturn day one. And I was comparing game. I was like, this ain't better than Battle Arena to Shinden. This ain't better than this ain't better than Tekken. This ain't better than Ridge Raid. Like, I was loving my launch lineup on PlayStation. I didn't care what Saturn was talking about. So I missed out on that entire generation. I had a hard line stance. So this is great for me because I get to catch up on the Saturn.
Long-term play. He's playing chess.
Yeah. I get to catch up on the Saturn joints that I may have missed out, and now they get reimagined and whatever. So yeah, that's the history there. But it's going to be curious. I'm going to talk to Solve about this, see how he feels about these 3 coming, because we all hardcore Sega kids.
Yeah. What do you think the last 2 are? I feel for you if I were to make a prediction based on what you've told me. And I think it would be fitting for nowadays. What would you, Phantasy Star?
Yes.
Right?
Original Phantasy Star, not the
Yeah.
online. I'm talking about the people who
Like
played
an
with
HD
Alice.
2D kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rolf, Nay, Ren, Phantasy Star Forward, the marriage system. Like this game has such deep JRPG roots, some of the best JRPGs I've ever played. I mean, for its time, Phantasy Star 1 was amazing on the Master System. Shout out to my man Ainsley, we go hard for it. 2 transformed the game as far as cinematics and emotionality. And they have a great universe, like the system of Algol, the ever persistent enemy, this thing called Dark Force, one of the hardest. You ever have those bosses that when you play a JRPG for the first time that truly terrorize you? And you're like those bosses that 1 or 2 things can wipe out your whole party. You got to have everybody specced out. This one's healing. Like it's that energy. And I remember that was the first true challenge in my JRPG. That was my first JRPG. My first true challenge in gaming history. I'm like, I can't beat Dark Force. This thing is killing me. Like it terrorized me. Each Phantasy Star game, whenever you encounter Dark Force, sometimes he's not the last boss. Sometimes he's like second to last. But man, oh, it was a fight. So I remember getting emotional beating that thing. I was like, yes! You went absolute crazy. So shout out to Phantasy Star 2 for those who played beat Mother Brain and Dark Force. 3 was okay. They had the marriage system. I didn't really care if they diverted a little too much. 4 was a callback to 4 and the classic stuff. But yeah, I would love classic JRPG Phantasy Star. That's Phantasy Star to me. No disrespect to these guys playing this new stuff. They the Apex Legends guys, as far as I'm concerned. They are not. That's not Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star by OGs. We know what Phantasy Star has one of the greatest JRPGs.
So under discussed, where I feel like it's a perfect one to kind of bring back.
You would love that. Like if you ever had time, I would pay money. I would get in your Patreon. I would request, do Phantasy Star playthrough. You know what I'm saying? At least 2 through 2 and 3. I would love to see your perspective on it, on the series. Because you're a JRPG guy.
Have them on the list. On the list.
You absolutely will. I would love to see a retro rebound, the Phantasy Star series. Wonderful.
I want to do it. Yeah, there's a lot of games on that list. I think my next one is probably gonna be the first Deus Ex. Actually, like I just saw it was on sale for like $1, and I just always see on YouTube like the best game ever. I was like, I love Deus Ex. I've only played one game in the series. I played Human Revolution.
Yep.
I was like, I love what I played at Deus Ex. I was like, this is apparently like the best. And I showed Locke, and he was like, oh, dude, this game you fucking love because like you're a big sci-fi head. I was like, okay, so I got to check it out, and I plan to play that probably in March. I think.
Nice.
Any other picks for Sega or anything come to mind when it comes to like? Because there's 2, right? So
there's one more, but it's so obscure and it's a mass system game. I doubt they'll do it.
I don't know, man. What's Sakura Taiwan? Is that like?
I know, true. Good point.
Is that popular? I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm speaking from ignorance here.
I again, something I missed out on. I did research it. Very anime themed kind of thing. It looked like a mech or something was going on. Maybe that's the other one. I forget. But no, I mean, it looked cool. I just not familiar with it. There's this game called Zillion. Oh my God, I spent so many hours on it. That game, I played with a game with a pen and a paper, writing symbols and codes. The game was crazy, man. That game had me. Other than that, those are the major ones for right now. Probably something will come to my memory that I'm probably forgetting, probably going to piss people off. But those are the ones for now that I think, because they got most of the major ones. But yeah, that's one for now.
Okay. Well, there you go. The SEGA kid has spoken.
Yes.
All right. This next one is interesting because it seems like a story spiraled out of control. So the Halo Battle Royale, we've talked about this quite a lot on the show because it's always found its way into the rumor mill. Reportedly, it was being worked on by Certain Affinity, and there was good reason to believe that because while the reports are pouring in, Certain Affinity made a post on their personal website saying we're deepening our relationship with 343. And so, again, it was assumed like, yeah, that's got to be the Battle Royale mode. There were comments saying that it was canceled, which then it really took off when Xbox Era said they were hearing a similar thing. But then they clarified on Xbox Era's website saying, hey, if we knew this for sure and we had verifiable evidence to corroborate this, then we would have said as much, but we were just talking about someone else's discussion and a lot of people ran away with it. They said they would have, again, actually reported it themselves. But still, the talk now is, because Paris Lilly also said, like, oh, I've heard a similar thing. The talk now is, with Halo BRs, is it canceled? Is it not? And if it is canceled, what does this mean for Halo? We have a write in here from Robert that says, howdy, Dukes. What do you make of the rumors that the Battle Royale for Halo is canceled? I know Battle Royales are somewhat played out, but I think the Halo sandbox could really fit the genre. Is this franchise cursed? So, Cog, what do you make of these rumors here?
Right. So we've heard rumors for sure. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be clear. I don't want to disrespect anybody who ran with the rumors. And shout out to Xbox Era. Those are the homies, especially Nick and John. So that's how I look at it. We have to be fair too. When we use the word cancel, this, as far as I'm concerned, I don't remember them ever officially announcing that a battle royale was coming out, as opposed to, for example, like, not to go tit for tat or anything, or fanboy. I'm just talking about, as opposed to like a Last of Us faction, which was announced. We saw, you know, we saw they had a conference talking about what was coming, and then we had concept art, you know, about what the vibe is going to be. None of that happened here. Now, again, I'm not going to disrespect the sources, right? Because the sources internally had said Certain Affinity was working on something, right? So, and the thought process was that. So the vibe I get as I'm trying to dig around is that, you know, they appear to be going in a direction of the base multiplayer will continue to be worked on because they actually been trending up since Forge, since all the maps. I heard the Halo 3 maps. It's crazy right now. It's crazy. Really, so they're happy with the engagement there. And then maybe all the resources are going somewhere else. And I don't want to jump the gun on what I've heard just yet until I get more clarifications. I'm a person that do not like to run with just one, you know, source on something. Mm-hmm. But I did hear that resources and energy are being diverted to something else.
I wonder.
We just got to see what something else is. And that's it. But that's what I heard. But as far as like a cancelization, you know, internally, if that was the case, maybe that's the reason. So.
Okay. Well, I will not pick you for info, but I will wager a guess that I think it's campaign time. And I'm going with my original prediction. I think.
What's your prediction?
That you let Halo Infinite be the long-standing multiplayer solution. Because I think one thing that was clear with Infinite's release is that taking on all of those tasks of like campaign, Forge, multiplayer, and all the shit that you want to do is too big a task in today's development environment. And especially when 343 was like split up into factions that had different beliefs, different prototypes. Maybe we could have seen a different fate if they were all in alignment. We'll never know because a lot of people got fired since then.
Yes.
However, now I think if you have this long-standing multiplayer solution with Forge attached, you can just develop a campaign in a silo.
And that sounds nice.
And then kind of Warzone it where you're like, oh, we added this gun and this race and this whatever. Pluck it. Hey, it's over here in Infinite with a robust set of maps that Certain Affinity has been working on. Cog has not said anything to me. I want to be clear. I am wagering a guess. But I think it's a pretty goddamn good guess. Because, I mean, for God's sakes, what else could they be doing?
No doubt.
Thank you for writing in, Robert. All right, Let's move along to one of our final items here before we talk about what we're playing. The top 3 games for Steam in 2023. Cog, is your whistle wetted? Because you might be doing some humming in a moment here.
Hey.
Top 3 Steam games in 2023 are Baldur's Gate 3 coming in at $657 million in revenue. Oh, I love to see that, man. I love to see the absolute fucking dominance on display from a game that had no right to be doing that when you really think about what kind of game it is.
Beautiful to see.
Beautiful thing to see. Dwarfing Hogwarts Legacy, by the way, who came in at $341 million. Mind you, one of the top sellers of the year, if not the top seller in the console space, with over 20 million copies sold, as you talked about last week. So pretty impressive for Baldur's Gate 3 to be above it. And somehow the company that's killing the industry, destroying the economics of it all, how in a development environment when games are costing $250,000 could you ever sell that much worth? Well, what's this, Cog? Number 3. fucking way. I thought this was supposed to be dead, man.
Yeah,
this piece of shit.
I was told the reviews don't mean you don't sell.
$235 million in revenue for Starfield. Pretty good.
Ain't that something?
Pretty good, because a lot of people thought all the play came from Game Pass, but
yeah, I guess it didn't cannibalize sales there, huh?
Yeah, Game Pass also had the single most subscriptions added in a day from a game, thanks to Starfield. So combine those two together, and it was a top played Xbox game for 3 months straight.
Yeah, single player,
13 plus million players. I think a lot of people paid for that game.
Guess revenue don't care about people's feelings, huh? It's crazy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep the boot on the neck with this one. I'm sorry.
No, I get it.
We gonna talk facts.
I'm doing a bad job. I'm feeling you now.
All right, I'm a little petty. Stop. All right, stop, God. Stop it. Back to balance.
I definitely had to feel the fire on that one. I apologize to the audience. That
we apologize. But I'm gonna remind you every now and then.
It's just Steam.
It's just that. That's
it is just Steam. But I thought it was what we can all agree on here is it's great to see 3 RPGs in the top 3 games on Steam.
Bro, Baldur's Gate, man.
Yeah.
Right? Good transition for what we play when we get into that too.
All right, perfect. Well, why don't we wrap that up then and get into what games we're playing?
Yeah.
You want me to go first? Because I got only one game here. And I don't
jump off.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I know usually that's like your thing, but let's just go ahead and get mine out of the way, just because, again, I'm still playing Trails Through Daybreak. 50 plus hours in now. We're on the intermission after chapter 4, for those who have played it and know where I'm at. And this game is still fantastic, man. I am very nervous for future releases in 2024. I mean, this is an easy top 3 candidate for me. I know I haven't played much yet, but when it comes to just the return on investment this series has given me as a storytelling medium, definitely have that in Trails multiple times. But as a player, it was kind of if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, they would make new wrinkles to the combat, but the combat was really good, so it never really needed enhancement. And I know I've said it a couple weeks now in a row between Summon Sign and here, but like, this is some of the best turn-based combat, man. Like, it is so fun. It is, even in the sections where it's like just a long dungeon, I don't care, man. I'm like, give it to me. Like, give that to me all day. I love the combat in this game. I love the exploration in this game. I love the locations in this game. Like, because you go to this region called Calvard, which is a mixture. Like, it would basically be described as modern United States in the terms of where they stand, like economically and politically, with if the United States was stylized around more like Eastern, like Asian culture and Middle Eastern culture and combining them.
Okay. And
it's really visually distinct. It feels very true to life, but also rooted in this sense, this like part of fiction. So it's a fascinating world to explore. These side quests are hilarious, especially because like some of the themes this game's story tackles, I gotta say, like, I don't think even the long-term diehard Trails fans who have not got to this one yet, I don't think anyone's ready for this, man. Like, if they tackle some real serious modern subjects, from AI all the way to racism, and this series has tackled serious subjects in the past, but not this heavy-handedly, like wrangling them down and making them like core central focuses. It's stunning. It really is. I am continuously blown away by this game. And I'm literally giving it my individual attention. Like that, once I finished my review for Prince of Persia, I was like, all right, back to my main homie here. Let's just focus on that. So that's what I've been doing. I know I've been boring to listen to with this stuff for the last couple of weeks. I have nothing new to talk about, but I love this game. I love this game through and through, and I don't know if I'll have it finished by next week, but I'm hoping to wrap it up, because what I want to do next is play Final Fantasy 7 and 7 Remake before Rebirth comes out. That's my next kind of goal amidst the reviews I've got to do, which my JRPG loving ass is going to be suffering.
You're going to be going through it.
Anyway, Cog, this is your segment because, like I said, I'm only playing one game, so I'd love to hear from you on all that you are playing.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Baldur's Gate, man. Finally Remember we talked last time, the attempt to play fully co-op. Love my brothers, but yeah, no. It's just too, it's a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I will say Baldur's Gate is really good for that is when you are struggling with a tough encounter, and then you can call the homies and be like, all right, I need y'all for this part kind of thing. And that was what happened during the Great Goblin Battle at the Emerald Grove, because I was at Grove. I had I double crossed like the Goblin leaders and act like I was gonna like set up and take the druids out and take these other. What's that? I forgot the name of the race that look like they're red faced, but they look very
tieflings.
Yes, tieflings. So I like them. I actually really like. That's how my play style is going. I'm really keeping them alive. I'm rocking with them. So shout out to the cops. They agree with the decision.
They love the tieflings.
They love the decision. And so now that I really now went to a single player mode, and I'm really getting into the relationships of the characters, and obviously Shadowheart, and then what's my man Vampire? It's Aster or something with
Asterion.
Asterion, yes, he's hilarious. He is absolutely.
He's something out of pocket that just lost my trust, and I had to keep him arm's distance.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't like what he did.
He did something foul.
Yeah, he did something foul. He might take advantage of your friendship, Cog.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, he is straight with me. Like, yo, I'm all about trying to master this worm, because me and him getting cooler, and his whole thing with the being a vampire spawn and the whole bit, and he wants to really master these worms and try to. He's like, yo, you I saw you took another worm for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And this, so he got his little shystiness, but I feel like right now he's being transparent with me. Then we got the homie who is, I believe, like a warlock, or the brother. I forget his name. Will. What's his name? Will. Yeah. So we got him. He cool. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? He cool. I got no problem. Yeah, he cool. And then we got the other dude now who's running with it. Like we towards the end. I know I'm towards the end of the act, because there is the dude that's running with us is like a druid, and he's like, yo, y'all could go above to the joint, or y'all could go below to the Moon Bay Tower or something like that. Now, whatever I did,
you should go above if you want to see all the
I went below.
Wait. You know what? No. You're good. You're good. Sorry, okay. I misunderstood where you're at. Okay.
No. I'm like, did I make a mistake, bro? I am fighting the wildest bosses and creatures back to back. It is crazy down there. Like, bro, they got traps, they got elemental things blowing up on me. I fought this eyeball that keep bringing people to life, bringing frozen people to life. Bro, they are out here terror. Now, if it wasn't for my man, I ain't gonna front. I love my character right now. Like, I just happen.
What kind of class are you building?
All right, so remember, going dwarf, Dorgan. He's like the evil ones that could see in the dark and the shadows, but he's also a monk. And my hand to hand, I got this joint called Topple, right? So yeah, bro, me with a staff. Nobody seeing me. If I get my character up on you, it's a wrap. Like my one character, my party really couldn't handle this eyeball thing. This eyeball thing was really terrible, and it kept bringing up more. If you don't kill, it's got like a ton of HP, and if you don't focus, coordinate on this thing, it will keep bringing new enemies into the fight who they themselves are strong and they themselves have their own individual powers and stuff like that. Now, I got my Shadowheart. She's like my healer. She's hitting people with the blessing. She's doing her thing. She gets busy. My Asterion is nice. Like, he get his little vampire bite on. He get close. He got his stealth. He cool, right? But my character, bro, like I said, I got this thing called Topple. I break down your defense. If you're a high defensive enemy, break down your defense. Then I got this other thing where I get to go twice. And it's like this hand-to-hand icon and this other thing with this. Bro, if I hit you, it's like 3 times. I will wreck you. I love my cat. Oh, then I got this other thing. Deflect missile as a passive.
Yeah,
don't try to shoot my man. Don't try to shoot my man from deep just because my man is up close. He send that right back to you, bro. Send that right back to you. My man is dead nice. I love his build. And I just gave him a power now called Rally, where I can give somebody health points and help, the other crew members out. I just need Black to get a little better. What's his name? Will. Right now, his powers, I need something for him for healing, because the way I have him built, he's good. He uses rapiers and a shield, but I don't like, he got some real powerful level 2 type sorcery magic, but I just don't feel right now he's contributing to the team. I gotta fix his build up. Right now it's not. I don't
the least for sure.
What you think I should do?
I used him the least for sure.
Yeah.
I was you had Halson, who's the oh my god, I'm Druid. Druids are really nice, bro.
Druids are serious.
Druids are nice because they can transform into anything.
But he don't want to rock with me yet, and I think until I get through the last part of this, he's with me, but he's not with me.
Okay,
he's at the camp.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess I'm assuming that after I get past this last,
he joined you at one point.
That's what I can tell he's gonna join.
Like him because a druid can like turn into an owlbear or like into like a cheetah or a panther. Like they just have all different suites of abilities. It's crazy. But my friend, we did co-op. He played with a druid, and he was like a force to be reckoned with until my character's like progression curve hit, and then I was probably the strongest in the party as a ranger. But
nice.
Yeah, that like the druids are sick, especially because they can like heal or self-heal. Everyone ends up having a self-heal option eventually, I feel.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, like Shadowheart is a good cleric. I used her as a cleric.
She's awesome. I do like her.
Like, she's good for abilities. Healing options. Like I wouldn't put her towards. My friend built her as a paladin. It worked out really well. Like I built her as mostly like a buffing healer, mage sort of.
Yes. Yep. She's really good for that. So yeah, love the ability. And now you see the abilities opening up and you're getting more stuff. So I'm towards the end of this thing. I just got to beat this little puzzle thing, and then I should be finished and cross over the thing. And then the last thing is obviously Tekken, man.
Let's hear it. Yeah,
bro. I've been in such a I feel like I'm doing my own retro rebound for Tekken lately. So it's like obviously 8 we're like close to maybe a week away or 2 weeks away. And, I've been getting the feels. They just announced Eddie Gordo. And I'm not an Eddie Gordo main, the Capoeira character, you know what I'm saying, from Tekken 3. But like to see the sheer joy from the community, especially my man Unruly, who that's his main. Like you gotta understand, when you play fighting games, one of the worst feelings is a new version of your game. It looks fire, but they ain't make your man. And to see his natural reaction, like I felt that to my soul, because I know how I felt before Harangue got announced, because it was like a bunch of characters. I'm like, oh no, yo, if my man is DLC, I'm gonna be tight. Like, yo, he not part of the call. So like to see him, and then he's got the classic. Now there's a little controversy. People don't like, they're getting tired of the Killmonger hairstyle for every for every cat. But I will push back against my brothers. And only one thing. Eddie Gordo is Brazilian, y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta be clear. But I understand that people will be like, but they keep giving all these characters of color this damn Killmonger. I think he looked dope. That's just me personally. I think the look looked dope on him, but I know it's a sore subject for some. But I'm just happy that Eddie Gordo is back. But back to what I was saying. So I've been playing 7. I wanted to play Eddie Gordo because I caught a feel, even though I'm not a main of his. I caught the Capoeira feel. But, bro, I've been playing, going through a retrospective of Tekken 1 through 6. And Tekken 7, 1 through 7. And Tekken 7 has a mode where you can look at all the stories, all the artwork, all the things that led up to it. I have to admit, man, Tekken is the most hilarious story in video fighting game history.
Yeah, I got to hear more about this because I thought about running through all the stories. I particularly loved 6 for its like gameplay style, but I'm curious how crazy it gets throughout. If that's like considered like an offbeat thing, or like if that's kind of in tone with what they do.
It is the most hilarious family I have ever seen. Like Hayachi, I don't trust this kid, my own son. If he's strong enough to win, I'm throwing him off a cliff. And if he survives this, then I know he's got a devil inside him and he could be worthy of the Mishima joint. Then in part 2, which is dope, this is the first time where the protagonist and the antagonist flip. And now Hayachi is the one trying to get back the Mishima ownership. Kazuya is at the top. And then Hayachi say, okay, you know what? We ain't throwing cliffs no more. We throwing you in a volcano. You out of here, bro. So it's just this series of evil shystiness and the family, bro. It is watching all the endings and the character stuff, the stuff that Tekken has done for the fighting game genre is tremendous. To see how it jumped. And I will say this, now looking at a retrospective of it, I forgot, like Tekken 1, again, Virtual Fighters was the king. They were the new kid on the block. They came up. It was cool. Great PlayStation home port for a home fighting game. Tekken 2, graphical improvement, introduced cool new characters, still cool, but Virtual Fighter still the king. Now, when Tekken 3 came out, I have to admit, I forgot how amazing Tekken 3 was. Tekken 3 is arguably the GOAT of the series. I say all of that to say Tekken 8 right now, Maddie, with everything I've seen, everything I've played, this has the potential to be the greatest Tekken of all time.
Yeah.
It is that wired in. Now, 3 will still have the title. Now, 4 is the controversy because they tried to do 3D. It had the lowest roster count. Some people didn't like some of the changes they made. 4 is considered one of the worst ones, right? 5, return to form, huge roster, great character additions, boom. 6, you know about. Yeah. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to tell you. If you ever do a rebound, this series, much as I love it, Tekken Tag 1 was a PlayStation 2 launch release. Amazing. Introduced the tag mechanic.
Back that far. Interesting.
Yeah. Tekken 2 was Tekken Tag Tournament 1 was a PlayStation 2 launch lineup exclusive, and it was phenomenal. But they introduced tag mechanics. It was a little complicated, but it was a fun launch game. Now, after 6, your baby, where your man is debuted, Lars, Jin is the enemy now, whatever. Okay. They launched Tekken Tag. I did Tekken Tag 2. I didn't know this. Tekken Tag 2 tanked so hard, the Tekken franchise was almost out of here.
Wow.
I had no idea. I've been doing all this research, and I've been playing Tekken like crazy the last couple of weeks. Harada had to beg management to give Tekken another shot. They were done. They were like, oh no, not after that return. And the reason why Tekken Tag doesn't resonate is because the in and out system, it's very complicated. The moves, to do together moves is not very easy. It's just not a very casual, friendly thing. And it's not canon. And they went kind of, since there's so many characters, they went kind of cheap with there's no ending cinematics. It's like in-game cutscenes. They're very short. It has no weight. So as much as I love the Tour Tag series, I was the one like, yeah, where's Tag 3 at? Oh, I know why there's no Tag 3. Yeah. So 7, I gotta apologize to 7. Remember, I've been kind of going at 7. 7's great, but I went at the endings, and I felt they spent the budget on Akuma. Yeah. I apologize to you, Tekken 7. Tekken 7 saved the series because, one, obviously the Akuma factor, bringing in Street Fighter, and I don't know if you knew about the Street Fighter Cross Tekken at one point. There was supposed to be a Tekken.
Yeah. Okay,
cool. There was supposed to be a Tekken Cross Street Fighter. So this was their way of doing that. And then the epic battle of Heihachi Kazuya, which I'm not going to spoil. But yeah, look, 7 saved the series, and now 8 has them where they need to be, and they're correcting all the gripes that people had, the little gripes people had with 7. So I'm excited, man. This is my favorite fighting game. It's close to one of my probably favorite games, period. Like Tekken is up there. Like, so, bro, I'm ready. And then my man just got announced today, Lee Cha-Lang. His suit is absolutely horrible, but we're not going to talk about that.
I saw that. Yeah.
His suit is absolutely atrocious. They made my man this goofy tech guy. He used to be the dapper, smooth ladies man.
I was so confused by that fit. Like, it just felt so disconnected from who he is.
Tekken 8, the beauty of Tekken 8 is everyone now is more distinct, more refined, has a role, even their fighting style and their looks. What they've done now is they've made Victor Cavalier, the French new guy, he's the dapper, smooth, secret agent, John Wick dude. Now, he taken my man title and they made my man work with your man Lars, and he's the Tekken Force techie military. And I'm like, I am never wearing that default suit. That default suit is awful. That will never grace me. But he has
too, man.
Bro, with the crotch protecting, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, no, I got it. They massacred my boy on the look, but thank God the default 2 and default 3 has the classic looks, and they got customization because I would never that. But Lee Chanlan, his moveset,
yeah, it looks good. It looks
excellent, really marvelous. I'm ready. So that's it. I'm Tekken rant over. I'm in heaven right now. I'm so close. I am so low key a little more excited than Infinite Wealth, but I got to get Tekken done. I got to get Tekken
way
done.
more history with Tekken.
I know. It's just So that's my baby.
All right. Well, that's what we're playing this week. Thank you for carrying that segment, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple warm-up questions, and then we'll do our transition into the pickup, and then we'll transition back. So let's get these out the way. We have a write-in here that comes from Fozzie Bear, who writes, "Hey, Duke Buds, Maddie, on a recent episode of Summon Sign, you lamented how writing in games has gotten worse. What do you think has caused the downfall of writing in video games? Cog, do you agree? And on the other hand, what are the modern games you think have exceptional writing? Have a, he's right behind me, isn't he, kind of day." Thank you, Fozzie, for writing in. I think the reason, why there's been a downfall, if you will, is I think a lack of distinction. Game development has become incredibly safe, right? We hear that always, and I'll continue to recommend to people, go to Tim Kane's YouTube channel, one of the former heads at Obsidian who now works there, and think of it like the Mark Dara of Obsidian, right? Like that same kind of like, now he's involved in kind of consulting rather than active development, like he's semi-retired now. But he's running this YouTube channel and just giving tons and tons and tons of gold mines of game dev advice. And he talked about game development caution in one episode. And it's really there that he leaned into this idea of he asked a programmer for a task that would take usually a couple hours or something, a couple of days, maybe. I think he got told it's going to be a month, and how that's where game development is right now. And I think that caution of not messing things up has also leaked into the writing. I think writing is being done by formula now rather than personal feelings, and I'll get into that in a moment. I feel like it's done by what's the writing structure for the hero's journey? What makes the most sense here? And let's write in that style. Where I always feel the best stories are written as very heavily camouflaged personal anecdotes of what people are going through at a time in their life and venting them out through characters. It's why I have the Outer Worlds in such high regard. I wish I had the woman's name, but I think of Parvati. Yes. And I think of that asexuality that she goes through, which I think nowadays people go appeasement and pandering or whatever shit. But it was handled so well that you heard nothing like that about it. And why was that? Is because it was written by someone who had a very similar emotional feel and channeled all of that into Parvati. And that's why Parvati came out as the shining star of the Outer Worlds among a great set of characters, because she was written by someone who was putting themselves, which is scary, but putting themselves into a character, not emulating that character like a lot of today's performative writing is. I also think it comes down to too many studies being done on what people enjoy. You can see that because with the rise of Marvel and its style of writing, which I've never really been on this whole Marvel writing is bad train that many people have been on before. It has a particular style and a voice and a tone, and that's good for what they were doing. But because of its popularity, so many people looked at that, and you get something like Forspoken, or you get something like Atomic Heart, which is that same yappy fucking MC that's making these stupid quips 24/7, which jokes are fine. But when I find myself yearning for the days of silent protagonists, it's that's when I know they've really lost the plot. So I think it's a lot of things that have really contributed to video game writing not being as good as it is. But I think above all else, it's because people are putting less of themselves into these games, whether it's by nature of hesitation or cautionary development, or possibly too many cooks in the kitchen. Where I think of a team like Ubisoft, where I can't imagine we ever get a real personal tale out of the Assassin's Creed franchise, for example, because it's not coming down to a small set of people's vision. It's like a multi-thousand developer studio, or studios, I should say, channeling their efforts into one game. And it's very hard to get a cohesive vision out of that. So it's also part of games getting bigger and more expensive. I think you see a fall off in the quality. And because we're getting so many more games, that creative expression is starting to thin out, where we were lucky to all start our gaming careers in the N64 and the PS1, and seeing the experimentations of how games become a storytelling medium. Now we know how they're done. And I think people don't know how to handle that. And I think people are kind of bad at it. Not that we'll see how my games writing is received. Of course, I'm going to be very open to the criticism because I want it to be the best it can be. But I feel confident in what we're doing. I feel really, really confident in what we're doing. And so I think it's because, you know, even if people walk away saying like, yeah, I didn't like how that was told, or the story didn't click with me, I hope that people can at least look at that and say, you know what, the person who wrote that, which is me, for the most part, at least the main story I'm writing it all is, yeah, like, you know, I could tell this is someone who put themselves into each of these characters. And that's my goal. It's just to make people feel things. And I feel like we don't try to do that anymore. We don't try to make people feel things. So curious if you agree, Cog, if you're as critical as I am. You know, not all writing is bad. I don't know if I come across that way. It's in particular examples that I always like. It's because when I see an example where it is really bad, I have to highlight it because I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. And I think of like Gotham Knights is one I like. If I were to use a term, I beat the shit out of. I was like, this is awful, awful from top to bottom. One of the worst written video games. And I talked about, I think it's why WB doesn't talk to me anymore, because I literally said that writing team failed upwards based on the staff that was there and what they had written before and how they ended up in the positions they're in, that story should not have had any right to be as bad as it was. And so I think it's that too. It's like, I don't know how certain writers in this industry who are not great at their jobs continue to find spots. Not that I'm preying on their downfall, but like talent is finding its way into teams where it's not helping the products. And I don't think we should be playing favorites. So I think that's the other thing is the portfolio is not speaking enough to potential hires, I think, is what I'll say. So yeah, man, like there's plenty of examples out there beyond those handful I gave. But of course, I go on about this a lot. So I'd love to hear.
You're passionate about it. No, I mean, look, I hear where you're coming from. You know, I think the only... I wouldn't think it's a difference. I think what you're saying is accurate in reference to writing as a whole, maybe in the gaming industry, kind of declining. Because, like, I feel like, you know, I come from the era of world building and character development, right? Where, you know, you think of something like a Mass Effect, and I remember reading, you know, and listening to the codexes and going through each individual race. And the Geth are this, that, and the third, you know, the great, war of like you start to learn, and it really makes me feel part of these universes. And you have these amazing characters that you feel are really taken with care. Like kind of how you said with the Outer Worlds, you know, one particular standout, another one was like Vicar Max, this like religious, he's hilarious, you know what I'm saying? His own little motivations and so on and so forth. You know, I think of classic Bioware, like I mentioned, the Mass Effect, stuff like that. And then, you know, I think about currently, you know, Obsidian 2, another one that didn't get enough credit. And I know, you know, we've had, not just because we had them on, but I had to really take a look at Pendament. I was just like, I really like the subtle things that they did as far as, you know, in that time period, and I believe it's 15th century, whatever it was, and Martin Luther, and, you know, the way the character Andreas was written and the transformation of the character as they got older. And then they did, I'm not going to spoil the final chapter, but they did something different in the end. And what I like is when something is not formulaic. You got, whoa, I didn't see this coming. Like, oh, okay. Like I was completely off about this, or there's a nice twist and a spin, or something that even if the character is annoyed, like does something that makes you hate them, but if it's done well, you're like, yo, all right, I got to see what's going on here. Like, I think we're missing that. I think, unfortunately, in your defense, where if writing is bad, then sometimes I just look at the game like, okay, this is just a romp I'm doing here.
Yeah, it's easy to ignore if it's bad.
And I think that's what's happened, whereas you as a person who's a game creator, you have the highest, you know, I don't want to use the word sensitivity, but your alertness to it.
I think sensitivity is a fair word. Totally.
Okay. I didn't want to make it seem like you're just complaining, right? Like, for example, like I haven't played Gotham Knight yet. I'm going to play Gotham Knight, but in my mind, based on what you said, there's a part of me that think I still may enjoy it because it's just like a fun romp to play with DC.
100%.
Right. Yeah. But to your point, if we're not playing fair and we're going to judge it on what it is, if I see like, yo, this writing ain't really that good. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say it. It's just I haven't played it yet. So I do empathize with your point there. And yeah, I just think it's one of those things that we gotta appreciate, like the Baldur's Gates and stuff like that. Because to me, just the subtlety, last point I'll say, and I'll give Baldur's Gate its flowers.
Yeah.
One thing I really love is you just pick up an object. The narrator's like, the object glistens in your hand while you look at it with the sunrise, the shimmering sign. You want to investigate more, but something is drawing you not to. Like, it'll have like the most greatest exposition on the smallest thing, and you're like, yo,
I love
this is crazy. Like you have to give credit to that level of writing and involvement. It makes you care. It makes you love it. And to your point, yes, that is missing. And I think, unfortunately, because game writing probably has declined, we've been forced to compensate and say, well, it's just a fun romp and we're just shooting things, whatever. But we shouldn't necessarily, minimize, like, yo, it still needs to come. You could tell better stories, kind of thing. So yeah, good point.
All right. Last little question here, and then we will get into the developer direct. We are going to talk with Pen and Pant, who writes, "What up, Dukes? The final preview for Persona 3 Reload has been dropping this week, and for what I've generally seen, the opinion is it's a great remake for first-timers of the game, but not the definitive experience. You've been saying this from the start, Maddie, so props to you. Based on the previews, what are y'all's expectation for the reception of this title? Buy, worth a try on Game Pass, wait for a sale, pass? Have you had a chance to check out these previews, Cog?
I have not. You gotta put me on. I've been in my
so
second bubble, sadly.
No, you're good. I usually stay away from this stuff, but I don't anticipate I'll get a review code for it. So I was just curious, like, what is the temperature like in the water? So I dipped my toe in the pool. So what people are saying, because one thing Atlas has done a really bad job with, I think, is just communicating, what are you changing? And so I just understood at that point. I was like, it's not until someone puts their hands on it that I'm going to get some idea of that. So it looks like what they're doing is like the core of the game is staying intact, but like they're maybe rearranging certain pieces, like certain character-based episodes or events will play out in a slightly different order to give the story better pace and feel. It looks like Tartarus is going to be the same slog that it was in the base game, which I mean, that's where the beauty of a remake can really shine through. Like, Tartarus is separated into a bunch of blocks. These blocks consist of multiple floors. And my pitch was like, hey, this block could just be a palace like in Persona 5. And like, people would lose their shit. But it's more of the traditional JRPG, PS2 dungeon crawler stuff. It looks better visually. It looks like there's more loot to find. So that's better. But I just feel like that was the biggest missed opportunity among everything else, because Persona 3 story is really, really good. It's really sad too. Its characters are incredible. It really does come down to that gameplay flow in Tartarus, which isn't bad because the Persona gameplay is good. It's just, Persona 5 had, which is rare in JRPGs, by the way, really good exploration, especially in Royal, where you get like the grappling hook, you bring in those tools, you unlock certain chests that you missed. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. I feel like that's probably going to be missing in Persona 3, which is a shame. But the combat looks great. They added what is the equivalent of like Showtime attacks now from Persona 5 Royal into 3 Reload. The art style continues to look phenomenal. I haven't seen much on the voice acting. I heard Akihiko's voice and I'm like, not feeling it. Not feeling it. So it's too different. It's not bad. It's just way too different for me right now. We'll see if I warm up to it. Because like the whole cast is new. But yeah, a lot of people were pretty like, this is a great remake. I remember why I love it. It's remixes of songs. But it's not reinventing the wheel, which is what I told people I don't think it's going to be doing. And so yeah, man, I expect to really like this title personally, but understand its drawbacks, that it's not going to be the remake that I think I was hoping for in particular areas, but that it could be kind of like, it's got little surprises tucked away in certain parts. Where it's like, oh, I didn't know they were going to play it this way. Apparently they made changes to certain social links. I mean, I will just say this, if anyone's ever played Persona 3 or whether you're on PS2 or portable, there are social links that are really weird in this game. And I wouldn't even say a product of their time, but probably something that I imagine Atlas will likely want to change a little bit to just to match today's day and age. Perhaps we'll see. We'll see. It could get weird out here, but the reviews. I mean, the previews seem positive, which is what I was happy to see. I wouldn't say it's not going to be the definitive experience, but yeah, like we learned pretty quickly that they just left a lot on the table. Not putting the answer, which is the epilogue, in there, not putting the FemC in there, not fixing Tartarus. Those are like your three main jobs with the remake, and you did none of them. So
do you feel low lift, low effort? How we feeling?
It's going to be easier to identify when they inevitably do a Persona 4 remake. And when they do that, which is like, I think 5 is really taking the series to another level, but I think 4 is like, everyone's got a place in their heart for 4. And I think them knowing that, like 3 was like the start of it all, right? Like it was the best candidate for a remake. 4 is also there, but you know, they roll around with like 4 and it's kind of that same, like, yeah, I mean, that one requires way less change though. So that's what I'm wondering is like, why would you change 3 dramatically if you're not going to change 4 dramatically? But 4 also had kind of meh dungeons and the combat was pretty as well. But now if you get 5's combat in, then is it going to be the same problem as 3 had where like the dungeons are going to be not as good as they should be compared to 5. So I wonder about these things, man. And so I don't know if it's low lift, but I think it'll be easier to identify when we get 4, which I know is like that sold like 2 million copies in a re-release, dude. Like people love 4. And a remake for that is like Sega's going to do it. No doubt about it. So I will be able to tell easier. I don't think it looks like a low effort project just from art alone, music alone. Like these games ooze style and passion, but did they leave stuff on the table? I mean, already we know. Absolutely. So any thoughts on Persona 3 Reload, Cog?
No, I mean, I'll get to it for sure. It's just, again, I know it's going to happen. I'm warning people now. Yeah, I mean, January, people are going to be mad. Like, I am going to be so Tekken and so Infinite Wealth, and I'm mad that 2 of my favorites are literally dropping on the same day. If any friends listen, man, sure, I would love a review code for what it is, because to be able to split them apart, to be able to, you know, really give them the time.
That privilege.
Oh yeah, listen, I'm gonna try my best, because at least if I could space it, then I can get more chances for both. But I already know what's gonna happen. Shout out to Gene. I see him rocking. You know, he's rocking with the Infinite Wealth, and I'm like trying to maintain my non-jealousy.
I was like, Gene, you got it early, huh? He's like, yeah. They're cagey though. I was like,
yeah, they're very cagey. Look, Gene put in that work, man. Gene's been doing this for a long time, so there's levels to certain things.
I need to get affiliated with a website. Is what I need to do, because it's just they're not giving it to YouTubers anymore.
So I'm shooting my shot. I don't know if you know, but recently I did a promo for Infinite Wealth, so we getting better relationship.
Really?
Yeah, IOF, your boy. I'll send it to you after the show. Your boy did the Infinite Wealth joint.
Nice.
They got me next to Drewski. I was like, oh, okay. They accepted it, you know, kind of thing. And I'm only kind of trying to do those things for games that I truly am passionate about and I love about. And
I think the understanding of game sponsorships has grown, which has been nice to see. Because
I hope so. Because some people don't like that stuff. And for me, it's just like, look, you know, we work extremely hard. The opportunity presented itself. They, you know, reached out and we said, let's give it a shot. And 100%. I had fun with it. When I was
not like you're taking fucking Raid Shadow Legends. It's a fucking Yakuza game, man. You've tapping. You've been hyping up Yakuza for months. If anyone was like, "Yo, sell out," it's like, go fuck yourself.
It's all good. And anyone took your Raid Shadow Legends back, I ain't mad at you. I'm just saying.
I'm not shaming them. I'm just saying, like, we know that's kind of like everyone's inbox is full of Raid Shadow Legends offers to the point where I'm like, nah, you too easy.
You're too easy.
Yeah, you're way too easy to get with now.
You're giving it up too fast.
Yeah, I like to work for it. Sorry.
Yo, you stupid. That was funny. But yeah, shout out to them. So we'll see what happens, man. I normally COG does not shoot his shot and put it out there in the universe, but these 2 franchises I love with my heart. Turn-based goodness of Infinite. I mean, Last Dragon, Like a Dragon, and then obviously Tekken is my favorite fighting game of all time. So I'm going to try to work my magic and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, with that, COG, we're going to transition over to Developer Direct. we'll see you then. Who knows if the tone of the show, the tone of the show changes dramatically or not. Hopefully we see you there nice and hyped. If not, enjoy this really snappy transformation in demeanor. Here we are. First and only news item of the week. Told you all we'd be in different clothes, different setup, different lighting. Look at this. All right, Cog. Developer Direct is done. 5 games shown off. Avowed, Hellblade 2, Visions of Mana, Ara History Untold, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle. We're going to go in order with everything that we saw throughout the showcase. It opened up with Avowed. This is launching fall 2024. Your thoughts, sir, on the Black Rock's latest outing and how it's coming pretty deep in the year.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of a flip on your prediction last week.
Completely wrong. Let me call myself out. I was wrong on a lot of things. So look, Avowed, I thought might be earlier. They came out, said, at the end of it, they said fall. As far as the order to set off the show, I thought that was very interesting, but I know why, as we continue to talk, I have theories on why everything was placed the way it was placed, but let's get to Avowed. Okay, so initially I had to rewatch it because initially we had some issues during my stream, and now I had the time without Addict King and everyone talking to me. Like, I want to get into my Obsidian bag and hear what's going on.
I got my popcorn here ready, by the way.
Popcorn's ready.
Yep.
So look,
I'm listening.
The first thing off the bat, I was like, okay, they're going with the different biomes. I was getting Baldur's Gate energy when they were like inside the temples and they were showing the glowing potions and stuff like that. Yeah. Then they were quick. They were all about switching the combat quick on the fly, like all these different loadouts. So we had the dual spellcaster stuff. We had, shield and sword. So I'm getting actually Skyrim energy from a lot of that stuff, to be honest. Like, I didn't think we were going to, but I was getting Skyrim energy and I was getting all these varied play styles, obviously the pistols, all that. Now, I got to nitpick because I got to listen. It's Obsidian, it's the Black Rock. Yeah, my favorite, but based on what we saw in the totality of this show, certain things stuck out a little bit more now because I see you compared to other things, right? So my Cog's nitpick is a little different from everybody else's. Now, I'm apologize to the people who, were like, yo, Cog, I wasn't that impressed the first time, right? I thought it was a level up for the first time, but if you're still there based on the totality of this show, I'm not going to come for you anymore. I get it. My issue is actually different. My issue is, I thought the voice acting was good. I thought the player choice, it looked like it was going to be good based on what vintage Obsidian. I'm not worried about the writing. I'm not worried about the story in the least. I'm really not. My thing was the initial enemy types that they were showing. I just felt the AI wasn't responding like how I like it to respond. Sure. Like, I felt like they wasn't evasive enough. They were coming at you. It was not until the very end where I think they showed this bigger like creature and it was like an epic kind of fight looking thing, and that thing looked impressive. But I think they stuck in this village with these specific enemy types that I wasn't really that impressed with. Now, what I was impressed with was when they showed he had a spell, like he held one dude in place, Vines held a dude, then he was able to do stuff. The spell binding impressed me more than the combat and the AI, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? But again, the vibe I got, now that I know you're full, you're still working, you're still polishing, you're still doing what you got to do. I'm not worried for Avowed. My only issue is based on what we're going to talk about and all the other things we're going to talk about. I know why you went first. I know why Xbox, you did a fantastic job. You put them in the order, in my opinion, of how you saw things.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. So I'm curious with you because you generally are sometimes, when you're passionate about a genre, I feel like your critique skills come out more because, you know the genre. So I am dying to know what you thought about everything. But let's start with Avowed.
You want some popcorn?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I really am. I Avowed as a game. So this opening to the show, some of my thoughts will kind of carry into Hellblade 2 on this. So apologies if I sound repetitive. The opening of the show was really good in the terms of like the content I was seeing and like the games I was seeing. Like, I'm very excited for Avowed. I'm very excited for Hellblade 2. For me, on a personal level, the reason they didn't like hit me hard is like I'm already sold on Avowed from step one. Oh. So like more of that I'll get into what kind of disappointed me about this showing, but more of what I saw. Like I felt like I learned really nothing, to tell you the truth. It's like I got visual context of things I already knew were going to be in an Obsidian game. I didn't see defining factors beyond that. Again, I'll get into that in a moment. Like same with Hellblade 2. It's like Hellblade 2 we've seen a lot of times. To get a good release date on that, I'm like, excellent. Like I'm ready for I've been ready for this game. I feel really confident in this game, knowing it's very close by. Awesome. So it really opened up with like these two games where I was like, I like what I'm seeing, but I'm not like out of my seat right now. When it comes to Avowed, it's Skyrim the Outer Worlds. Like it's what I've been saying for a while. Good and point. Anyone who's like went in and said like, oh, it's got to be Elder Scrolls 6. It's got to be whatever you're expecting on a whole different level. This is what it is. It's clearly built off the systems that existed in the Outer Worlds. I mean, the dialogue and the way it's framed and the static nature of the camera movement, it's clearly built off those systems. So if you didn't like the Outer Worlds and how it played and felt, I don't know how you're going to feel about Avowed. For me, as someone who loves the Outer Worlds, I feel pretty confident I am going to love Avowed.
Same thing.
That said, the showing was too surface level for me. I needed more Obsidian. You called it a deep dive. That was not a deep dive. I didn't get to see progression elements in this deep RPG. I barely got to see choice and consequence. There was iconography in your dialogue system. No idea what that is. Are there going to be skill checks? What's going on here? Combat, when they opened up with that, Cog, I knew they weren't ready to show anything deep because when I talk Obsidian to people,
let's go.
We don't talk the gameplay ever. That's not what they're here for. It's good. It's serviceable. It works. That's what it was for everything from like in my life, KOTOR 2 and on.
Good point.
When they open with Avowed's combat, I'm like, okay, I see the vision. It's interactivity. It's an evolution of Skyrim's combat system. Like it was making a big deal out of using both your hands. Like here's a gun and a sword. Here's a wand and a shield. Here's two wands. Like that excitement came back for me. I was like, oh man, I remember when I first saw Skyrim and you pull out two blades.
Facts.
And there you had a spell and a blade. I was like, that hits different. And to see them take that system and go like, okay, now you can freeze an enemy up, take your sword out and bust that icicle and they fall apart into a bunch of pieces. I'm like, yeah, that's going to feel good. I could tell they focused mostly on the dual wands.
Yes.
Those look sick.
That looks sick. That was some Wild Wild West, cowboy wands.
I was about that. So mechanically speaking, I saw the vision. I know why they went first with it. But for me, when I play Obsidian games, I am here for your characters, your world, your story. And I felt that connection when I was like, when they were doing the open area panning, they called something a third region, which I was like, yes, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear open world. I heard third region. I was like, good. It's going to be, again, like Outer Worlds people, planets. Think of it like planets. You're going to, that's going to be what we saw a little bit of your third planet, right? So, like when I saw the world though, and they were talking about that, that's what started to pull me in. I'm like, this is what I'm here for. Like, this is your specialty, especially nowadays. We don't get good shit like this nowadays often. We get great combat pretty frequently. We don't get like the deep, enriching stories and worlds that you get intimate with the way you explore a game like Avowed. So I'm like, I wanted to see, do we use these spells to interact with the world to like solve puzzles or open up different entryways to areas? Like, how far does it go? It felt, for what is called a deep dive, it felt very surface level. That doesn't make it bad. Again, I have to emphasize because people will get the point twisted as they always do. I am sold on Avowed, and I have been because I'm an Obsidian fanboy through and through.
Factual.
But in the terms of what they showed, I need more. You, especially for the people who are on the fence. I don't think you showed them enough to get them over.
I agree.
I don't think you showed them enough, and you could tell because you made a good point, Cog. I'm glad I'm not alone on this. I thought I was. I was thinking to myself, like, I don't want to come across as negative.
It's negative, but I was like,
I love the show, but as it got deeper, like it was when I got to Ara History Untold, I'm like, there's levels to the depth here of like the deep dive and the deep dive. Like it's
Ara had stuff to talk about.
So we'll get into all of that. But yeah, Avowed, it looks great. It really does. And it's my type of game through and through. So I will be all over it, no doubt about it. I'll be covering it a ton on my channel. I'll be playing it for a long while, just like the Outer Worlds. I've replayed that game a ton of times. So it's, I'm excited for Avowed. But I think, just like with the Outer Worlds, I was excited by the world space, this corporate controlled future. And then when they showed skill checks and they let us see how characters are leveling up and progressing, that's what ramped up my excitement. I thought this was a perfect stage to be like, and here's how you're gonna, like, okay, you have branching quests. We really didn't see that. Like you just said that, and I trust you because you're Obsidian. But
yep, good point.
Like you gotta do a little bit more when you're given that stage, Obsidian, because this is your chance to like, look, there are ranks right now, but there's game studios in Obsidian. Like, I'm not saying it's a competition per se, but this is your chance to kind of be like, oh, and you were disappointed with Starfield. Well, look, here's what we're doing, right? Like this is your chance to kind of draw that line, and they know. That is a very important point to make because it defines a lot of their games.
Do you think we get another showing of it? Because they in the Xbox Wire post, they talk about make sure you tune in for an Xbox podcast on Monday, January 22nd for an exclusive interview with some of Obsidian's developers offering even more information on the gameplay reveal.
I think it's going to be a discussion on what you'll see there. I mean, that's the thing. It's like that's Xbox's MO, right? Like they do like the showcase and the extended showcase. And the extended showcase, you get like talking on the things they weren't ready to show, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I mean, look, that's always going to be great to get more information. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be more gameplay though.
Okay.
They showed a good amount and that was one thing this showcase did really well. It was a great showcase overall. Mm-hmm. They showed a lot of gameplay.
Yes.
Through and through. A lot of good, again, great flow. Like this format is fantastic.
Fantastic.
I love it. It really is. Like it did not, the fact that I walked away, I was like, nothing here was bad. Yeah. Nothing here was bad, in my opinion. I was like, great. It's rare that like they've done 3 of these and all 3 of them, in hindsight, the first developer direct had a pretty weak slate of games. You take out Hi-Fi Rush, especially, you're like, oh man. But when you look at the timeliness of that introduction, it kind of made the games matter less. Where like they're 3 for 3 in my eyes. Like I haven't walked away from a developer direct going, man, that stunk. So yeah, Avowed, I'm pretty excited about. Did you have more you wanted to talk about?
No, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, that you literally said what I couldn't say, which was for a guy who loves Obsidian games, I'm here for the gameplay mechanics, and I'm here for how the choices I make affect the world, and what are you doing from a pure RPG standpoint, because to me, their focus was so combat. They wanted this, hey guys, we do that Skyrim-like combat. We got all these flashy things to do with it. And I agree. I don't think they did themselves justice to someone who was on the fence still. For us, we're good. We know what it's going to be, right? So I'm literally in lock and step with you there, but that was my thing. And I am going to challenge the only thing with the combat. I am going to challenge you on your enemy AI and reactivity and impact on the hits. I know
what the Outer Worlds had.
Like I need that. And I'm telling you, if they get that squared, they will get the people who are on the fence. I'm not worried. I know it's going to be good, but there are people who want that initial feel right off the bat, the viscerality right up the bat. And I'm curious if that's the reason why certain things are shown and we're not seeing other things just yet, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm not to be a Debbie Downer. I wouldn't hold my breath on the AI though, just because like I think of the Outer Worlds, and I just recently replayed it for a video on my Mr. Matty channel, and I was just like, yeah, the AI is just not great for this game, or really any Obsidian game. Like they're just not challenging and intelligent, especially when what did I review? I think it was when I was doing Murder on Iridanos. I was like, they just stand here and let me shoot them. And I feel like this game's going to be more of that.
Look, so, I'm holding my hope that it's just that enemy race that they kept showing. I feel
nice little opening area shot, maybe, like, hey, you're figuring things out, guys, know.
But at the end, when they showed the bigger creatures and the other enemies, I'm like, okay, this look more impactful, and hopefully I see different type of, enemy AI reaction in the way they try to confront you.
They throw a lot of enemies your way in this game. It seems there was like 6 at once, which is definitely different for them. So I think it's going to get crazy. It looks like from when you're watching it, I can see why people are, turned off, like myself included, in just how they presented it. But like, I could see when I'm playing it, because they mentioned you could swap weapons.
Yeah, the swap was crazy.
Like pretty much 4 hotkeys. I'm like, okay, like I could totally see bow and arrow, pop that guy. This dude's close. Now I got the sword and shield. Like I could see it getting like really intense, really getting into that.
And the
mechanically looks sound.
Yeah, spellcasting looks sound. I think the spellcasting is probably going to be the strength of the game. I'm loving what I'm seeing there.
100%. All right, let's move on to Hellblade 2. We haven't seen much of this, have we?
No, we haven't seen that. This is like the first time, right?
So the rumors were true. We got a leak ahead of the developer direct, and it was correct. May 21st, 2024. So this is, out of everything that we saw, the only one to get a date.
Yes.
And everything else outside of Visions of Mana dated for later in the year, Cog. I have to say, little caught off guard by this. We have our Q2 game. It seems like we have Q3, Q4. And I was kind of left thinking to myself, okay, what's Q1, Mr. Booty? What's Q1 then? And I thought maybe when Square showed up, I'm like, is this going to be? Nope. So obviously that's a separate conversation, but what did you think, Cog, of what they said about Hellblade? Because for me, the standout quote was one of the opening lines.
Break it down.
I feel like I could see you're going to nod and approve when you hear this.
Break it down.
They called it a shorter narrative-led experience. And I was very happy to hear that. I think this timing is going to be perfect for them. I think there's a lot of fatigue in today's games for how much of a time sink they can be, whether you're open world or live service, it matters not. Too many games are demanding too much of your time, and there's too many quality ones coming out. For Xbox to have one in the chamber here that is a high quality AAA exclusive that's going to be shorter and narrative led, maybe in that sub 20 hour range, maybe even sub 10 hour range, I could see being really good. But at the same time, I can definitely see the complaints ramping up of like, man, we waited this long. It was only 10 hours long. And
okay.
I hope it doesn't go there, because something like Hi-Fi Rush was about 10 hours long. So, I mean, that was a little more replayable than what I'm expecting here for Hellblade 2. But that was, to me, where I kind of wanted to open things up. That was like the standout quote for me from Hellblade 2. But I think going into this, both you and I were in the same boat of like, what are you going to show me, like, combat-wise? And Cog, did you see anything here? Because they talked about combat a lot. I have some thoughts on it, but do you see anything combat-wise that really stood out to you with this game? And of course, your general thoughts on Hellblade 2.
Look, I walked away with this very surprised that they were ready at May. That was the biggest thing for me. The release date, first half of the year, I'm going to be getting my hands on Hellblade. That is the last thing I thought. So my enthusiasm just shot to the roof just based off of that. And let's be honest, like, they're the only one that got the release like that, you know, for one of the bigger titles. So look, I'm just going to get to it. I'm going to say something I've never said about Hellblade here, which is, this game looks phenomenal. We know it looks phenomenal, right? We're not going to talk about the graphical fidelity being an issue. However, I got to be real with you, Maddie. There was times, this is just me being the super graphical nitpick guy. I'm like, okay, you only trying to, and every time we saw, I'm like, oh, you only show one person on the screen, so maybe there's a limitation there. Or maybe, you know, every time we see you kind of dark in a cave, and maybe, you know. So when I saw, this is
the just one evaluation, by the way.
Yes, this is just what. So I'm saying, when I saw the different biomes, and then her outside with sunlight walking down a path, then I saw more than 2 or 3 people on the screen. Then I saw certain things. Now the combat, this is what they're doing. They're sneaky. They are showing us every time we see Hellblade, we see, like the time we saw her on the beach, ton of people behind her fighting the huge troll-like boss. So they're showing you in these quick cuts, okay, we got that, but we ain't gonna get you all of it. You know, we got this, but we ain't gonna give you all of it. We got now, and to me, the combat, the visceral nature, going splitting somebody up to the white meat. I'm in there for that. They showed the fire dodge. I'm in there for the weaving. I'm in there for people, multiple 2, 3 people jumping on top of you, and you got to get them off and all of that stuff. I'm here for that. So what I'm getting it from them is they are still being so guarded because they don't want to spoil when you get the game, but they're giving you these flash cuts is what I call them. But I'm impressed. I'm still impressed. Look, as far as fidelity, there is nothing that looks better than this game, in my opinion. It is the flagship. I was talking, I was like, Coalition, we got to talk when it comes to who's the new Xbox Game Studio graphical fidelity guy when it comes to this and that. And then we're going to talk about what happened later on in the show, and somebody else got some stuff to say. But listen, I am good. I understand people's concern about, you know, expanse and how deep is it and skill trees, all that fair. fair. They're keeping that close to vest for the release so that you get to experience what it is. But for a person who loves Hellblade, I came away, okay, so you know what? I'm good. You showed me a lot already. And I've basically this is my final thought. I look at them as a culmination of all the showcases that I've put it together. So to your point, this one particular showing did enough, but I'm still piecing together all the other things together to make the picture that I know I'm good. But if you look at this, if anyone looks at this individual one and say, still, I don't know, fair. I'm not going to come at you. I'm not going to say that. From every time I saw this game, all the Game Awards, all the Xbox, the last year's showcase, and now this, the culmination of every single thing, my individual questions have been answered on a lot of level, and I'm good. And then my man is back with the psychosis, and that guy, I forgot his gentleman's name. He is so good. He did the narrator. He would always be like, "Senua, you," like that dude. He's back. And he's doing that. I know in Dolby Atmos, this game is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be very scary and hard to play through this, but that's what makes Hellblade. But that's pretty much all I got to say. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. And the main thing is release date, first half of the year. I'm off your back. Now we just wait for the final product. Let's now put it all together. Does it match the hype? Does all the things that we see truly come together and synergize is really the question now, whether it's a, 80-something Metacritic or a 90-something Metacritic game. That's where I'm at with it. But I'm done. I'm good. She gave me a release. I'm like, that's all I've been wanting. That was the final thing for me. Yeah, but I'm curious with you, where you at with it.
Yeah, it was relieving to see a release date attached to it. It kind of sucks that the rumor leaked like right before the developer direct, because I think that would have been a bigger moment than it actually ended up being. But yeah, it was really nice to see that firmed up. Like, okay, cool. Like there's something big in the first half to kind of like mark on your calendar. Again, a little surprised after last year. Feels like, there's a bit of a gap now until something big happens for Xbox. Maybe they're planning around like Activision Blizzard and a round table and a big dump into Game Pass or something along those lines. Who knows? But yeah, it's not too far off now. Some of the words they used to describe the combat, they said they wanted you to like feel like you just scraped by. They said Senua isn't a superhero, and they talked about making, or rather, I should say, my interpretation was they are making an incredibly faithful sequel.
Yes.
In the sense that it's not like they came into a ton. I think at first my approach to the game was incorrect in that I thought, Hellblade 2 is going to be like this big, massive game. Like they're going to go open levels. Like they're just going to break down all the walls that were put up around the first one. But I think they keep them up, and they're just going to make the grounds that the walls are surrounding them in even bigger instead. And so by that, I mean like you're going to get, I noticed there were like big open vistas in the game. A lot of walking sequences. I don't know how to feel about that.
A lot of walking.
I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'll be honest, because I could see that being like a little too much stop and go traffic, where I feel like based on the acting and like the way you're getting swarmed by it, like both emotionally and like physically, I could see this game just ramping up and getting more intense. And what I was left with, I was thinking of a Plague Tale. Like a Plague Tale is one of those things where I know quality when I see it. Plague Tale is phenomenal. Plague Tale Requiem was my game of the year in 2022. It's just an experience on a whole other level to me. It beat out Elden Ring, which is a game I absolutely adore, but just Plague Tale Requiem was something special, and I feel that same energy coming off of Hellblade 2. It's why I have absolute insane confidence in Ninja Theory to be like a lead marquee Xbox studio. Famously, I've said that I think they're going to be their Naughty Dog. People think that means they are Naughty Dog, but it's no, I mean in the level of quality and output and that perfectionist, that sickening attention to detail. Xbox needs a team like that, and this is their DNA. You're not forcing them to do that.
I wanted to say that. Now I got my point. What I want to say. I think for the people who have the concerns when they see, like you said, I thought the open vistas were absolutely stunning, right? Especially when they show the different variant. But here's what Hellblade is to me. When people see the walking and get worried, I don't, because if you played the first one and you finished the first one, what makes Hellblade is her walking and saying, Maddie, I don't know what's going on in it. You can't do it. You can't beat it. like it's the voices and describing the psychosis of the character that she's battling this mental health in conjunction with what she's seeing, and sometimes the interpretation of what you said. Hellblade has always been an immersive psychedelic trip. And that to me is the core of what it was in conjunction. Oh, I do want to mention, the only thing that I did not like, I hated in the first Hellblade, was the puzzles, the symbols of redundancy with the symbols and the symbol puzzles. And I finally saw a hint of a puzzle where she was going, and it was like almost like a rock formation that had a separation in the middle with a symbol, right? So I'm like, okay, that's the first time I see y'all. I was wanting to know if any type of puzzle mechanics are coming back in it. Now, again, they're still being guarded. They're still not showing you all of that. And that's fair for anyone to have trepidation. But again, for me, as a person who's played the first one thoroughly, that to me, Hellblade has always been that. And this seems, like you said, them not changing it into some open world game, changing the whole DNA of the game, giving you the bigger set piece of the first one with more meat to it, so to speak, kind of packed into it. It's the vibe I'm getting.
Absolutely. It just, it looks real high quality. It was definitely like, again, as I mentioned when talking about Avowed, it wasn't like this type of game that I was like, oh my God, because I've seen so much of it. I feel like I've seen enough now. And I don't know if they're going to double down and do let's do a big direct before the game comes out. I wouldn't blame them if they did that, by the way. I think it makes a lot of sense for this game if you're trying to push it over the edge. But I think right now, given how many trailers the game has received, Xbox is in that death loop territory where one more big showing might be the point of people going, I'm sick of it. Yeah. So they got to be careful, because I know you got to market this thing. It's one of the big acquisitions you made back in 2018, your establishment into we're going for first party, and this is a big deal for them. So I wouldn't blame them if they went out and did another 15-minute direct. But maybe they don't. I will just say that right now, I feel like I've seen enough. I feel like a lot of Xbox fans have seen enough. I feel like a ton of people should be able to make up their mind with the volume of trailers that are there. It's just now about Xbox keeping it in people's minds, because I think this is going to be one of those, I don't want to say guarantees, because who knows, right?
Who knows, right?
I feel very confident in the quality that's going to be here. I feel like Ninja Theory is really going to deliver, and I'm excited for, just like how we felt, and we'll actually talk about with Indie, finally an IP based game, and Blade, an IP based game. This is a type of game that's been missing from the Xbox ecosystem for some time now, outside of maybe Gears.
Facts.
And so I think it's really exciting to see that they're going to get this type of thing injected into the ecosystem, and to see how fans take to it is going to be exciting. But I thought it looked great. I really did. The only thing I have reservations on is combat mechanics, in that you're right, they're being super reserved. And I don't know why, because I don't want her to be a superhero, but I want to know, is there countering? Is there deflecting only? Is there blocking only? Just little attention to detail. How am I going? It's the same thing I had with the Avowed complaints. What am I going to be doing in this combat system? I saw you took an axe and threw it in someone's head real quick. Is that just a contextual action? Is that a cutscene? Is that
good point?
A mechanic? What is that? I want to know. Do I see enemy? Are these enemies undead? Do I see weapons lodged in them and I can yank them out and use them? How does it work? Right. So I'm keen to learn more, but I feel like I'm not going to until I put my hands on the game. And so, as great as Hellblade 1 was, I feel like that game's combat, it was not the point of the game, but it was very simple. And I hope with Hellblade 2, it doesn't remain simple. I hope they go a little deeper and a little more, a bigger focus, because I get why it's an indie game, $20, they had to slim things down. But for this one, I think they could knock things wide open. Any other thoughts on Hellblade 2?
Great analysis. Nah, man, I that's it. I'm just shocked. I was shocked that May 21st. Yeah. Wow. I'm going to get Hellblade in my hands at the top of the year. And that's the best gift for me. So I'm excited.
Right now, speaking of which, you look at the roadmap for the first half of 2021 or 2024. Wow, I don't know where I got that year from. The reveal year of Hellblade, probably. I know, right? Even earlier than that, surprisingly. But nonetheless, when you look at the first half of the year, right now, those months are pretty dry. Hellblade might stand a chance in just being like one of the few games coming out around that time period. And then that leads right into the Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting as well. Hopefully it does deliver how I anticipate it to. All right. So we got this fifth game of the show. The report from Insider Gaming was this is going to be a not major game. And I think they were right. Now, this selection here by Xbox does open up a can of worms. And I'm not saying it from a negative or concerned point of view. It just does open up the can of worms in that, okay, we have learned now on the third developer direct that you can have a third-party presence here without exclusivity or Game Pass attached. And I was DMing Locke while we were watching the show, and I was like, this is some next level glazing by Xbox right now to get that Square Enix partnership. They're like, oh, this is usually like our thing, but like, come on in. So they showed off Visions of Mana coming out summer 2024. This is the first launch for the Mana series on Xbox. I can hear Miles Dompier right now losing his mind. Shout out to Miles. But, you know, it was a pleasant surprise. Like, I really like what I saw of this. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I feel like the real talking point for us here is the meaning behind the relationship, the partnership here. Like, what's going on, Cog? So hit me with it. What did you think of? You saw Square Enix show up, and I'm sure you and I had the same. Like, what,
bro? I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing here? This is not for you. This is an Xbox first party showcase. Why are you here? And why is your leather jacket so fire? Why are you got the medallion on like you got a nice bag? Like you, bro, people don't understand. I look at all the symbolism. When that thing came up and you saw that extra box, unknown, and you see Square Enix logo. To me, Xbox is flexing symbolism. They want you to know about this. It could be taken many ways. I'm telling you right now, it can be taken many ways because, again, this is the unexpected. And again, the fact that it's not Game Pass, but it's a day and date third-party release from Square Enix is important. We are not going to minimize this. It's classic JRPG goodness from, Secret of Mana days. This is an old SNES joint this is not it, but this is from, that ilk. Yeah. And now the new generation. And I was getting cool vibes from it. Classic, JRPG, the real-time battling. They had the multiple different characters. They show aerial combat. This is that, that classic goodness. You know what I'm saying? Almost got a little iodine feel on certain things too. Mm-hmm. And I thought, obviously the color, the style, the art style, very classic Square. And it's going to be an audience. It's going to be an audience for it. And the beauty of it is not missing the platform, because that was the issue we had. We had the issue of, these things, why this one, why that one? When they come outside, when I see Square higher-ups come outside and they're gushing about, it being on the platform, that tells me everything I need to hear. And now I personally, and this is me, I could be wrong, that the floodgates now open when it comes to everything else. Because this is the new, right? And you want to come on the Xbox showcase to do it. Mm-hmm. That's symbolism. That's telling you this is a new day, this is a new relationship. Things are great with us right now. And
a year ago, we wouldn't have been even fucking dreaming of that. Think about it with the first Direct when we started last year. Would we have ever considered, let alone a third party, but if it were a third party, we would go down our list like, maybe a Sobo, right? Like something, but Square, pretty big deal optically speaking, at least.
Optics. Oh yeah. You can take them anyways. You know what I'm saying? People even going to extreme. Like, I'm not going there. And I'm teabagging with Lord Acquisition. I'm not going there
now.
I'm not going there. But people were like, bro, why are you promoting Square Enix on your first party showcase? It is a question. It's a valid question. I understand that. So, but look, I thought this was cool. And my thing is, Final Fantasy games, we know it has to come next. The Final Fantasy, remake games, whether it be end of the year, whether it be compilation or just an announcement that they're coming, would be big. And Final Fantasy 16, that's a lot of one. The MMO, obviously, released it on that. I think the floodgates are open. I think it is now begun.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's a statement, just like the commitment on stage. It was not now it shows to us it's not a singular moment. Like, hey, we did this thing. That's it. That's our lip service. We'll get to work now. They've done it again. And I get it because like if this were like a state of play, how deep would like say the Sacred Symbols guys read into a typical third party from Xbox's side of the camp showing up? Like if Asobo showed up on
Good point.
State
Right.
of Play, would that have been a real earth shaker? So I'm trying to be fair in that, like, is
That's
it a massive deal? But I feel like because Xbox has lacked optics so much on Japan, that this is at least a big deal for them.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with the report that this wasn't like a major game, but I hope it has major implications down the road because I think what's not really talked about is like Mana is a very popular JRPG series, but it's not like the JRPG.
No, it's not the.
Like
It's
it
not
started
the.
off as Final Fantasy Adventures, right? And it transformed into something else. But like Final Fantasy is the JRPG series, or like Persona is the JRPG series.
Yes.
So for them to kind of give this the spotlight reminds me a little bit of what happened with Scarlet Nexus, where like Xbox just really put their back into supporting that game. There was really nothing that came out of it. I remember predicting high and low. I was like, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. And I think still to this day, that shit needed day one Game Pass because that game flopped pretty bad. And I think that was a misread on Bandai's part personally. But I digress. I don't want to overanalyze it, but I do think it symbolizes that continuing relationship at the very least. And I'm curious to see where it goes next because, like, what we've started to see is, for example, Capcom. You know, little flyer, day one Game Pass here or there, right? You had the Exoprimal last year. We have that. I'm forgetting the name of it. The dancing action game.
Oh, yeah. I know
Great
what
art
you're talking
style.
about. Oh, yeah. Whew,
You're not getting your Resident Evils or Monster Hunters yet, but you're getting the platform holder or the big third party publishers in Japan to kind of play ball with you a little bit.
Right.
And I feel like this could lead to something for Square Enix where they've recently said like we're going towards more like AAA big budget games, which I don't agree with. I think some of their best stuff, like Square Enix Collective, their kind of indie house thing, published Paranormicite, which was a phenomenal visual novel. They are putting it like they help publish it with Square Enix Collective, and I know this is again their indie thing, and I don't think that'll be affected, but that's part of the reason why Power Wash Simulator exists. Like that is a really popular game, and like it was an awesome game. I think some of Square Enix's best games are the smaller ones. Live Alive, that didn't sell extremely well, but like that's a meaningful remake, and so I hope that Game Pass, while I don't think it'll get the big day and dates for like Final Fantasy, if it can open up Square to say like, you know what, we don't have to leave behind these more experimental, smaller titles that our other like our B team, C teams are working on. In return for like the bigger thing. Yeah. I think that's going to be great on its own. That is going to be a win for everybody.
I agree. The main thing for me is not missing the release date, not missing as far as the day and date launch where we go, oh, where's the Pixel remaster? Oh, where's the Xbox version of where's Octopath 2? Like that conversation is what I'm talking about. And then
getting rid of that. Yep.
That's the main thing. So the way I look at this, Game Pass is not the end all be all for the new release, right? Yeah. To me, what happens is now you get it's like with Sega, like they're on the the Yakuza joints are on the platform, and then that 6 months or to a year later, then you come back on the back end and say, okay, here's the Game Pass back. And I see that kind of developing. So to get the games over here first, and then later after they tail down. But I will say this, now, let me take it back. I want to see how they handle Final Fantasy. I'm curious if Final Fantasy Remake is old enough or bag is big. That's going to be very interesting when that happens with Remake. Because if they say, yo, y'all getting it, I'm still not going to be mad. But it'll be interesting if they could get it and then at least maybe the first one, Remake, the first, could get a Game Pass thing. That would be interesting to me if that relationship increase that way.
Yeah. Persona is definitely like the series to look at and think to yourself, like, what are they going to do? Because I mean, having all 3 Persona games come to Game Pass at once was a big deal. It was a really, really big deal. So I feel like if you're Xbox, it's in your best interest to do at least the first remake of 7 on Game Pass if you can.
If you can.
If it's possible. I think that's one worth swinging for. Rebirth, though, I think you got to sell. You could also... It brings up the question of like reunion Like what's going on with Crisis Core? Do you keep that Game Pass instead? Because that was the one that did already come to the platform and has been there for a while, where I think it's the most likely candidate. So it's anybody's guess. But yeah, it's definitely one of those situations where, again, this presence, I think, is more than what meets the eye. And I'm curious to see what develops from it, because it's like, okay, if they're at Developer Direct, then certainly you've got to be showing up at like the summer showcase with something, right?
And let's not forget, with the old leadership, when the relationship was good, all the Final Fantasy had came over to Game Pass at one point. Remember?
Final Fantasy. We all thought it was going to be at once, though.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be at once, but it took a while. But I mean, they showed the ability to do that stuff. But you're making a good point. I mean, it's going to be curious to see how they handle it.
Well, Visions of Mana otherwise looks great, in my opinion. I love the art style. The action combat had this mixture of like aerial juggles and spell casting and dodging and real cinematic flair at certain times. That looked way better than I expected. Like, it looks great. Like, it wasn't just this kind of shoo-in game like I thought maybe it may end up being when I saw Square Enix show up. 100-song OST, that's some serious business right there. It's a lot of money to pour into your budget. But we know how Square Enix soundtracks cook, so I think that's great news for everybody. And then they spent a lot of time on the creature design, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, they really gave this game a lot of love, which I thought was good. It was one of the longer showings, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caught me off guard. After this, we saw Ara History Untold coming out fall 2024. I was way off on this. You took your L. I'm taking my L on this one. I thought this was Q1. I was like, this shit's gonna be right around the corner. I see. The thing is, man, I gotta stop picking the games that I'm I put in quotes, like I think of the least interest as the ones that they're going to use to generate excitement and like put around the corner. Like I was like, oh, Forza, who gives a fuck? Like put that out in April, why don't you? And they're like, no, we'll see you in October. And now Ara, I'm like, oh, Q1, like everyone's going to be watching. Tell them it's out in March. Like this is going to be huge for you. That I not see you in fall. I'm like, I was so upset when I saw fall, not because I was wrong. I'm cool with being wrong, but like when I saw his fall, I was like, no, man, because this game looks so addicting. It looks so good. This mixture of like RTS and city building, like AOE meets Civ meets Crusader Kings, and I'm like, yo, this
perfect analogy.
Oh, amazing. And then I see it's releasing. Selfishly, I gotta say this: I see it's releasing in the busiest time of the year for me, the fall. I'm like, great, I get to throw maybe 20 hours into this thing now. I was so ready. I was like, dude, I got nothing going on after March, man. Like, Ara History Untold, come to Papa. But fuck no, man. They're coming out in fall. Oh, but this game looks amazing. This was where my excitement grew. You know, again, like these first 3 showings, like they all had different meanings to me. Like I was sold on 2 of them already. Happy to get the release date firmed up for Hellblade. Happy to see the presence of Square Enix. But in the terms of like, oh man, what is that? I gotta say, man, I gotta be honest. Ara History Untold. That was the one that got me. I was like, this, I'm not giving the show, but this was the one that was like, you know, this looks different, fresh, new. Like, I really haven't seen this before. It's kind of exciting for me because I haven't dabbled in. I'm like, I've avoided Civilization for a while because I'm scared that it would destroy my free time. But it's like, look, I'm about to be 30 in a couple of years. Like, I gotta be an adult about this thing. I can handle it, right? I know I've trained myself. I know not to throw away my responsibilities. Like maybe in college I did. So it's like, okay, I'm ready to dive into one of these games, but I'm excited about them. Like I'm excited about Frostpunk coming to Game Pass. We talked about that earlier in the show. And then seeing this, I'm like, oh man, like I'm turning into a PC gamer. What's going on here?
RTS gang.
Yeah, but this game looks great because I like elements of AoE and it was really addicting in that sense, but I'm not good at that like 4X strategy. Like I'm not. So having elements of that, but not it being the main focus and more so clearly taking inspiration from Civilization and them mentioning like, yeah, we helped make Civ 5, which I think is the fucking best one. So I'm like, I'm going all over this game right now, but I'm telling you, like this game looks sick to me. I'm very excited about it. Cog, what were your thoughts on Ara History Untold?
So obviously, this is the one. If I had to rank, this is the one I was the least like pumped up as far as like, okay, like I'm gonna be real. Like was here for the other games. I gotta be real. Cog was here for the other games, so I'm like, let me see what y'all gonna do. But I will say this. If you want to compare, there's only one other game that if you want to compare, they showed you their game and they broke down the mechanics, and they broke down,
Yeah.
you want to talk about a mix of Age of Empires, you want to talk about, civilization, you want to talk about, okay, we got the different type of time periods where it comes from the urban, the thing, we've got the Roman type of time. They got all these different, then they talking about, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, we got the classic leaders, you got the Genghis Khans, the Nicholas Copernicus, we got all that. Dude. Then they like, okay, by the way, for the people who like to play with friends and you going back and forth, the worst thing, and I love what he said this, the worst thing is your man go and then he gotta wait, and then it's everybody else, and it takes so long. The way they're doing almost like this real time, everybody keeps going, and then the game was processing it somehow. Like that part sound, from a gameplay mechanic standpoint, I walked away knowing what was. And I thought, next to one other game that we're going to get into, that as far as explaining what their game is to the team, I'm going to say some things that's going to surprise some people.
No,
so
right. Okay.
When it comes down to it, Ara showed their game well. Now, I get it. It's niche. It's not for everyone. But for the PC community, for strategy, for RTS gang, this was y'all time. And I hope y'all liked what y'all saw, because for a person who's more turn-based strategy than RTS, I know, though, when I see a good quality RTS, I'm like, oh no, they look like they doing that there. Even though I'm turn-based strategy, that look like that's them RTS gang. Like I was seeing the vision. So yeah, dude, good showing from them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think out of everything that was there, I mean, they were the most ready. They were most ready to go.
Yes,
they really like.
That's why the fall was surprising, because I'm like, y'all look like y'all. Ready.
Yeah, when they were like, we're excited to release Ara History Untold later this year, I'm like, what the fuck do you mean later? Like, you just sat here for 10 minutes and showed like every angle of your game, every perspective. You're telling me you still got like 10 months to go? Come on now. Yeah. That's not right. Yeah. Oh, it's going to hurt, because I'm genuinely giddy about this game. I think it looks fantastic. I really do. It looks different and fun and a combat. Like I've said for a while, I feel like the future of a lot of these exciting games, at least for me, are these meldings of like things I like from tons of genres or types of games and putting them into one. And so this is exactly that, like putting in all of like the RTS and the city building stuff together. Like it works for me, man. Like that works, because I like both elements, but now to have them both in one game here from the creators of those games I love. Awesome. And it's a good thing you point out the simultaneous turn system, because I don't play multiplayer with these games, but I mean, I can see that being a huge deal. They talked about a crafting system too. Yeah. Like there's a lot going on here, and they talked about an insider program and like how it was important to them, and they're going to keep that alive and keep supporting the game. I care less about that because I'm not like a big live service guy, but it shows that this isn't just like a flash in the pan type thing. Yeah. This is a really exciting game. I cannot wait for it to come out. And so, since it said fall, I imagine we will see another appearance of Ara at the summer showcase, where we can then get a release date for it.
Yeah. Strong pedigree, strong showing. RTS in the house for sure.
And then the last game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So the name from the trademarking was accurate. Releases 2024, no window. They just said later this year. This was really Todd Howard's vision, which was kind of surprising. They said how he had the vision from the game to the story to the setting to like what Indy would look like, where he'd be. Like this is a dream game for him. And I made this joke in my video. I'm going to say it here, is that if you played Starfield and you're a little like, like I feel like something's missing here. I always say, I think Todd, his eyes may have averted a little. He may have not been super loyal to his team, because I kind of get it. It's like, this is the thing. Like, he loves Indy. Like, that's his thing. It's like me with Ninja Turtles and Star Wars. It's like his gaze may have averted somewhere else during Starfield, because this shit looked incredible to me. I don't want to go on, though, because you kind of... Why are you shaking your head?
No, keep cooking. You cook.
No, fix your face, Kyle. How's it feel? Fix your face.
I'm chilling. I'm having a moment while I'm listening. There's a lot of emotions going through me while I'm listening to you. That's all. I'm just.
No, I don't want to go on too much longer, because I feel like if I go back to back on this sort of like loving on what we're seeing here. Like, let's provide some balance in the force. Are you prepared? How are you feeling about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle from Machine Games?
All right, I'm gonna be real with you. This was the wild card coming in. Like, we didn't expect you, but you're here. You're gonna be here. How are you gonna approach this? This is Machine Games, God tier FPS, God tier Wolfenstein, BJ. You know, those games really from a core mechanic and gameplay. And I ain't going front, Maddie. As much as I'm excited for Avowed, as much as Hellblade, I said Coalition is on watch for the graphical title. When Machine Games put this game on this screen, and I saw the facial animations, I saw the 60 frames per second. I knew who was 60 frames immediately. And I saw the cinematic flair of a young Indiana Jones. And I get it. If some people are going to say, COG, it's not third person, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah, we will discuss.
If you wanted that, I totally understand. I'm not going to come for you. But if you're going to sit here and say, that game did not look amazing. It looked like the summer blockbuster.
Dude, you scared me. Okay.
Bro, that game looks so amazing.
Yes.
I was like, I don't even care what's going on. When that's coming. like that game look, bro. They had the combat. Oh, you want to do the guns? We do the guns. Oh, you want to do the hand-to-hand? We do the hand-to-hand. Oh, you think we don't got the stealth? Oh, we use the whip a wall, make a dude look at the wall, then we whip it. We got motion because we spent years doing motion capture and dragging dudes with the whip. We got that.
They showed that in the mocap studio. I was like, holy shit.
They put a dude through real pain for.
What'd you do for work today? I got dragged around by a whip.
Like, authenticity, we beat him up and dragged him. I said, bro, then I saw the young Harrison. Then we got old Harrison. When I seen the dude that had Harrison in the dirt and he had the sweat bead going down his face, I said, oh, there's levels to this. Machine Games is outside. I was like, bro. Then they said, okay, COG, you was worried about the first one. We gonna give you cinematic flair with the climbing and the traversal. Oh, we gonna give you set pieces with we jumping on airplane. We going from biplane to biplane for no reason. For no reason. We got driving. We got what you want. Then the talking, Mr. Jones, I'm like, they got it. There was a reason. Xbox, shout out to y'all for who did the order.
Yeah.
Who did they knew. They was like, look, Obsidian, we love you, but you're gonna set this off. You're gonna be the first quarter. You're gonna be the first quarter. Yeah. So if I was like, yeah, we got that. We gonna excuse me, sir, you're gonna be second.
Yep.
Oh, we got a release date. No, you're second. We're happy you got your release date, you got your comment, but you're second. So I was like, yeah, we got the most to show. We're gonna bring you're halftime. We're gonna put you halftime, and then Square. You come out here, we're just going you're gonna entertain them. We're gonna, nice little surprise, that's almost our version of a stealth drop because you ain't really supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But they said, Indiana Jones, sir, what would you like? You know when the movie star that come in out of all the celebrities get the biggest dressing room? It's like, look, we got the coffee, we got the hors d'oeuvres, we got what would you like, Andy? Todd, what would you like?
Mm-hmm.
But the Machine Maddie, I was blown away.
Yeah. Yeah.
This right here, I didn't expect this. And I was like, I don't care about the first person, third person. It looks so amazing. The way they panning and going back and do it, I'm good. And here's the thing. I know the track record. I know the track record. I played New Order. I played
the track record in the first cutscene they showed.
I know that gameplay is going to be fire. So people could say what they want. That's their business. But in my opinion, they stole the show.
Yeah, game of the show, no doubt.
Game of the show. Bethesda Machine Games, y'all did that there. I mean, that's my most excited game for the year now. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Bro, I ain't going front.
Nice.
Things have changed. The hierarchy has changed. I betrayed my beloved Obsidian and Hellblade in one day. I was like, they doing it. Because you know what it is? Because Hellblade had it, right? with the graphical deal. He's like, yeah, you out here. Oh, she doing the thing, the faces, all that.
Yeah.
They said, Cog, we're going to show you what 60 frames look like. I said,
Yep.
it was silky, Maddie.
Yeah.
Everything was just the motion, everything. I'm just like, nah, they got that. I can't. My bad. My bad. I forgot what y'all did. My bad.
Dude, yeah, 100%. 100%. Like that was an amazing showing. The everything they did. I can't act like I'm not because I haven't because I didn't like them because I haven't watched them. Can I think I'm a big indie movie fan? My introduction to Indiana Jones was with Emperor's Tomb on Xbox. I love that game. So much so that I dressed up as Indy for Halloween. That was my introduction to him, and I loved that game so much. And while I know there were a ton of callbacks to the movie, like I saw they brought back like Marcus, for example. They got the Harrison Ford model, if you will, which was really good because we live in that day and age. It's never safe, right? Like after Marvel's Avengers, that was our wake up call. Like, yo, you never know what version of your man or woman you're gonna get. And so to see that they went with this model, which I don't know what else they would have done, but just to know they went with the younger one, like awesome, right? That's like what I think when we imagine our head Indiana Jones, they captured that. But this game really brought back a lot of feelings from my childhood. Like I was like, I loved Emperor's Tomb, and that they had like the whip as a multi-tool. Like you used it to traverse, you used it for combat, and like they're evolving it where you can use it for distractions. They're like, yeah, whip the wall, and they're gonna turn around and then just why not, right? Like that. I thought that was great. I love the melding of first and third person. I think the first person choice is good because here's what I imagine if I'm in the design room and I'm just guessing. Here's what I imagine the conversation was like. Okay, Uncharted is clearly inspired, has many touchstones, but one of them is Indiana Jones.
Good point. I didn't think about that.
And that's third person. Mm-hmm. If we do indie in third person, it's going to feel probably a little too much like Uncharted. What do we make as a good game? Like, what is our strength? First person. How do we put those together? And I think this is what they came to, and I think it is really smart because the way you connect with BJ Blazkowicz is not in the gameplay in first person. It's when you go into that cutscene and the camera pulls out.
Facts. And when you get the boots and you slide between the crevices and you do all these things that go outside of the...
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, it's that third person cutscene that humanizes these characters. I mean, that's the thing that like people forget about machine games. And I get why, because like Youngblood wasn't great. For some reason, there was a stretch of time that it was decided that Wolfenstein 2 was a bad game, which I just never, ever got. Never understood that, bro. I get that game had a lot of cutscenes, but that fucking story was amazing.
Amazing.
And so between that and especially the first one, Wolfenstein New Order.
Hell yeah.
One of the best first-person shooters of all time. I don't think that's even tough to say. Like first-person shooter campaigns easily up there in the top
story
5.
And what they did with the character, that they did a moment in the game. I said, "Oh, they doing that to the main character."
Yeah,
you know 100%. What? Yeah.
So I have so much seeing when they, obviously you put it perfectly. Like the wild card was this game right here. When the show opened up and they're like, "We're gonna show you this first trailer," and immediately shot one, you see the villain getting in his face, talking his shit. And I'm like, yep. I was like, yeah, they got it. I was like, I immediately knew.
Yep.
I immediately knew. I'm not even trying to fanboy to everyone, but I immediately knew then there because I was like, that's the style that they're known for in cutscenes, these sickening, fucked up villains that get in your face, almost like a Far Cry villain, but do some messed up shit along the way. And I guess as I expose myself to Indiana Jones more, I don't know how lighthearted or serious it gets, but I like that. As I'm sitting there, I approach Indy as like, the music's like, dun, 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 dun. Like it's very uppity to me. I was like, oh, this is serious. Like he's burying you in the sands of Africa and leaving you to die. And he's beat up. Like Indy had a black eye, bloodied up. I was like, oh, this is getting serious. Like it was really exciting from that point of view. But I just want to real quickly say before I dish it back to you, like I think the first person gameplay is really important for distinction, but also like immersion. Like we saw puzzle solving, the use of the whips, the first person melee. Like I think it's for those immersive qualities of being Indy and then seeing Indy in those emotional moments that I imagine they're going to go for. Sorry, what were you going to say? You
literally stick with that. You was right on cue with my thought. Because I said, what surprised me is I didn't think I would love or it would translate puzzles. Like he's interacting with things, and you're seeing the hand, and then he's putting like the screw or the cog into the thing, and you know what I'm saying? Like it was just, I'm like, yo, that actually looks cool. You know what I'm saying? And then what I liked is there's a scene where it's almost felt like going into the dwells of a dark pyramid, and it was low lit, and he had the torch, and he's going down,
and it was lighter at one point. Yeah.
And I said, yo, I didn't think first person could do this in an adventure style game, and they're pulling it off. Yeah. And again, the attention to detail. Oh, and this is the point I have to say. As great as Wolfenstein is, right? This had cinematic just one energy for everything. It seems like every interaction, it's over the top cinematic. It's taught. It's the focusing and seeing the characters, and that's why I'm like, I'm not worried. It's what you said, Maddie. They are taking a distinct, unique approach with this game because you nailed it. If they, not that I would have been mad if it had been third person, but if it was, it's a good point. Part was like, yo, Uncharted already did that. They're technically what you were supposed to do when you first came out, but they beat you to the punch. So if you come out and you do the same thing, you looking like the clone when you was the originator. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So this choice, as much as at first I was fighting it when I heard about it, because we did the rumors were like, we got our own thing. Todd was always kind of very coy.
A lot of things at once. Yeah.
Right. But after watching it, I'm like, this is the perspective I didn't know I needed. And I'm like, I think they got it, man. I'm so excited. I cannot believe this was going to do what it did. Yeah. And I think you nailed it. Puzzles, traversal, stealth, combat, gunplay, and again, for the Just One warriors, it's so overly cinematic that it's going to give you Just One energy and a strong narrative beat. You feel the love and care of how much they care about Indiana Jones and and I'm not even an Indiana Jones guy like that. I'm like, yo, this making me. I'm into this. The villain. They got my man from Candyman, the black dude, the tall brother, the scary brother. I know that brother. He be in them horror films. He used to scare you. Say Candyman 3 times, he coming. Like I remember that horror movie. They got him, and he's menacing in this. The budget look crazy. I'm done. I'm gonna bloviate. Machine Games, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I owe you an apology. Y'all had y'all meat on the table. Y'all knew what y'all Xbox. Y'all knew what y'all was doing. I gotta give it to y'all. Format, the way y'all lined this up.
Clear. Yeah.
Y'all had to break the news to the Black Rock that they have to be the first quarter, and I get it. And everybody else had to fall in line because you knew you had this. You knew it, and it's just exciting for the year because. In January, let's just be clear. With January, we got a direct that could be a platform's entire year and be fine. Yeah. And we know ABK is coming. We know there's still more exclusives coming. And we know there's a summer showcase. To me, I walked away. I don't know if we get into this part yet, but I walked away. Okay, cool. Sorry. Right. So I walked away like, this was a great set off. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. There was still some things they could have, did a little better with just the showcasing of the other games a little bit. But it just made me excited for 2024. Like 2023 was strong and it was getting themselves reestablished. This year, man, all I care about is Indiana Jones. Like that's to let you know. And I got Hellblade coming at the top of the year, and then we got my RPG goodness with Avowed that I know going to do what they're going to do, and the strategy guys going to do what they do. So yeah, maybe I'm too pumped up. We'll see. The game's got to review good. They got to get it for the hands. But I'm super excited, man. And it's all because of Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones definitely drove my hype for sure. Like I'm trying to parse through it. I know what excited me versus what I am trusting I'm going to like more than compared to what I saw. And that would be like in the camp of really Avowed more than anything, but also like Hellblade kind of falling in there. But yeah, just Indiana Jones felt like on a different level. It felt new and fresh. And I think that was really exciting to kind of like, when you got the Blade announcement, it was like, oh great, we finally got a Marvel game. Nice. And we're not going to see it for many years now, but like to have that Lucasfilm IP exclusive to the platform, that excitement that it builds, it was like, oh cool, this is actually a thing happening for Xbox. Like this is great. So yeah, I don't forget how I feel about past showcases. So I'm not on to the next one always like, as in, oh, that sucked. I'm going to complain about it online and then it doesn't matter the next day. Like I remember those feelings. So I remember how I felt leaving the Game Awards or how I felt leaving Summer Games Fest or the Xbox Showcase in the summer or the last Developer Direct. I remember those feelings. And one thing I can say that's been consistent and that I don't take for granted is that I've not walked away yet from a Developer Direct disappointed. I've walked away each time saying, you know what, that was a great showing. Even the ones that I'm like, on your type of showing, like Avowed, I feel like you showed me enough to just kind of get an idea of parts of the game. And it was still developer focused while flashing back and forth between gameplay, where the format's fantastic and you guys have yet to miss. And I'm excited to see, if any, what gets the deep dive, right? Like what gets the focus here.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Because it felt like indie got its deep dive. It's just there. Maybe there's more to it that we don't know about. It seemed like, a lot of these games kept a lot in the tuck where I'm like, are they going to do more dedicated developer directs this year than we anticipate?
Yeah.
Because all of these kind of like, I don't know if it was just a one-time Starfield thing because they knew the pre-orders are getting kind of sick there, but all of these games could get a deep dive. And that's kind of the future I'm interested in figuring out how they go about it now. But yeah, in the terms of the showcase, I thought it was great. Really pleased with everything that was there. To me, the second half was stronger than the first half, just because one was a known quantity. One was one I was already sold on and just wanted a release date on, and we got that. So yeah, really the ones that had to show out in Ara and Indie did. It was a pleasant surprise seeing Square Enix there, although I try not to overlook that one or overanalyze that one too much, but I hope it does have implications for games coming to Xbox. And yeah, I thought that they did a great job. And I don't take for granted that Xbox is kind of, in my opinion, right now, the leader in showcase formats and delivery, more importantly. Because I think Nintendo has the ideal format, very snappy and quick, but their directs are hit or miss. State of Play is definitely feeling more and more like market obligations. They have had good ones, but Developer Direct has been exactly what I think you would want as a fan of a platform, which is like, hey, this focuses on the stuff I'm interested in this place as a customer, and you're giving me good, deep, honest looks at the games, and it's flashy enough to keep my attention, but diving deep enough to help me understand what I may be playing and buying soon. And so, yeah, kudos to Xbox from going to not having a format at all and not really having anything established at all to being, in my opinion, the leader. Right? It's a huge swing. It's a huge swing in a different direction for them that I'm surprised by. But hopefully this continues. This momentum continues because I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. This has been a great showcase format, and I hope it continues to stick.
Yeah, and I gotta shout out ZeniMax / Bethesda as a whole, because I feel now over the last 2 years we are seeing the fruits of that acquisition. Yeah, because I was very hard on them.
Yeah, imagine if that was in an acquisition, right? And imagine what that showcase looks like without indie. I think we'd be a little more tempered on things in certain areas, for sure.
Absolutely. This is something, and remember, this is a game that we didn't expect. That's the thing. It looked so good. That's what made it, so cool. And I just, again, when you're coming from, the games that obviously they missed out on being brought back to the platform with the Deathloops, I know, and the Ghostwire Tokyos and stuff like that. Then you bring, Chai and Hi-Fi Rush, this amazing game. So we know Redfall, we're not going to talk about it came out. We know what it is. But then you in the year with Starfield, now you're setting it off with, a Machine Games joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they're starting to, and then obviously the Blade announcement, right? ZeniMax, but they're showing their value as an acquisition now. It is cooking, and I think, low key, like you can make the argument, like, yo, they are, they're in the front, you know what I'm saying, as far as everything right now. They really got a nice cadence and things going, and this was something.
Still don't know what it's doing right now.
Still don't know what Ed's doing, right? Yeah.
They still got more in the chamber that can help Xbox.
Absolutely.
All right, any other thoughts on the Developer Direct, or shall we transition back to the past or future? How the audience looks at it.
Just again, kudos to the direct, the format, and it just keeps getting better and better. And like you said, Manny, they're in a great pocket right now. I love it was almost like a little wrestling promo. The developers run into the studio, or whatever, like getting into the studio, whatever. You show the shot, no super over the top stuff, just the developers, the games, boom, boom, boom. They're in a nice pocket.
Absolutely, I love the vision. So yeah. Shout out to this year's Developer Direct. I'm sure we'll have more audience write-ins next week that I encourage those of you listening to follow up on things you saw during, whether it be Indie or Ara, Avowed, Hellblade, maybe even Visions of Mana. And we'll have a more extended conversation with our audience so we can account for the write-ins. But we appreciate you all immensely. And let's continue on with the rest of the show, shall we?
Let's do it.
And we're back to the past. Yeah, to the past. We're here now after the Developer Direct. Time to talk about our Game Pass pick of the week, shall we, Cog?
Let's do it.
I was up this week. But first, we want to hear from Grant, who wrote in saying, "Hey, Dukes, just want to shout out Jasant for a Game Pass recommendation. It's from Don't Nod, but quite different from Life is Strange or Vampire. Its gameplay mostly revolves around climbing, and the mechanics around it are quite fun once you get the hang of it. Pretty quick to complete at around 5 to 6 hours, and would love to hear your thoughts on it if you end up checking it out," which I believe you did, Cog.
Mm-hmm.
You liked it, right?
Yeah, I liked it. It was a pleasant surprise. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't think I would like it in the way I liked it. But yeah, the climb mechanics are great. The way they implement the story is very subtle, and I thought they did a fantastic job. Yeah, I have to admit it. I came around on just at first I was not liking it. I was like, I don't know, and then as it went on, so yeah, shout out to Grant. I do think it's a good game.
Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah, I tried it with Laylee over the holiday break. She was going through a different round of games than she played and loves Firewatch. Yeah, she's obsessed with Firewatch now. She is so big on that game.
Oh, I would love to have a conversation with her about that.
Yeah, she is obsessed with that game. Like, she stayed up till I fell asleep, and she stayed up till 5 and played and beat it. Like, that's how into it she was. But she also tried Jasant, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling the whole climbing the mountain thing. It was also kind of buggy. Like, we got stuck at one point where you were just kind of flickering all over the place. It was, I don't know. Give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it more than I. My Game Pass pick of the week. If you really want to hear what I'm putting my back into. Resident Evil 2 Remake, man. This is one that I feel like this is my opportunity for redemption. I did not give this game, I didn't get to review it or anything like that, but I streamed it at the time when I was doing a lot of Twitch streaming. Funny enough, I played the full thing with Laylee on stream, which was a lot of fun, but I don't think I understood what I was playing at the time, truthfully, which doesn't happen often, but I don't think I understood properly how good that remake was. And it wasn't until the benefit of hindsight and a lot of bad remakes or miffed remakes, and you look back at Resident Evil 2, and just as someone who's a fan of the franchise, and I got more experience under my belt with it, with finally playing 4 and 7 and 8 and pretty much everything in the series, barring 3 in the original. And then looking at this again, it's the definitive Resident Evil experience in my head. I'm I love the tension of Mr. X chasing you around. Perfectly done. It's got the claustrophobic environments, but they fixed the things that were at that time really janky with Resident Evil, like moving while aiming. There is that sort of collectible driven gameplay, finding all the secrets in this police station. That was once, I think, an art house or an art gallery or something like that, or art museum. It's so creative. It's so thoughtful in its level design and its gameplay, having essentially 4 scenarios in its campaign. It's still something you can run through pretty quickly, but when I played it, I really liked it, but I just didn't understand, I think, how much I would come to love it as the years went on. And lesser did I feel this way, but Final Fantasy VII Remake had a similar effect on me where I really loved it. I gave it a passing recommendation on, or rather I should say a buying recommendation on my review for it. But as the years went on, I was like, man, 7 Remake was the bold remake. They tried some things, man, and it was an easy slam dunk, and I really respect that, and hopefully a Rebirth that pays off. But RE2 Remake was that, this is how you do, this is what I wanted to see in Persona 3 Reload, for example. This kind of faithful adaptation of what's there while enhancing what didn't go so well. the humbling nature of a remake, right? Going like, you know what? Tartarus ain't that hot. Let's switch it up a little bit. Or, you know what? Standing still while shooting, that's not that great. Even if it makes the gameplay tense. In quotes. It's not the right type of tense. Where like Mr. X, as you're like booking it down a hallway, you just hear boom, boom, boom. Bruh. You'll start like, I started making some funny noises playing this game, man. Just hearing this dude behind me. It was scary. Bro. But in a good way. Like, I'm an easy target for horror, but this is scary in the way of like suspense and tension. And you know what's after you. Bro. It doesn't get you with jump scares. It gets you with things like, if I make one wrong turn, or if a zombie is right in front of me, it stops my momentum right now, Mr. X is going to have a field day with me. And I don't want that. So yeah, just seeing that Resident Evil 2 Remake is available on Game Pass. If you've been sleeping on this one, please give it a shot. It is really, really good. One of my favorite survival horror games ever. Truly. It is fantastic, because I'm sure you've already heard by now.
Yeah, classic. I mean, Resident Evil changed my life, right? Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 2 at the time for us OGs was the GOAT. Because it was like, I remember it was 2 discs, and I was saying everyone became Leon mains over Chris mains. And then, like you said, I'll never forget playing that game for the first time and Mr. X showed up, because it was just unheard of. We were just like, what is going on? And I believe it was like, because it's separated in 4, Claire, his, and then, was it Chill? I'm forgetting, Claire, I forgot Homegirl's name. It was
RE2?
Yeah, RE2. It's who's the female in this one? I always forget.
I think it's Claire.
It's maybe Claire. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll double check. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm forgetting names now. But anyway, long story short, is like I remember doing the second part with the other character, and you just go.
It is Claire.
Claire, yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? And he just took your feeling of safety away. And because Resident Evil, those games, you try to rush to the save room. Oh God, nice calming music, and oh no.
And you got to go out that door.
Yeah, and he out there. What's up? So yeah, like, and then to see the changes, a true remake, the real good changes that were beneficial for the series. No more tank control, super fixed angles all the time. They really, and the shooting and moving like that was huge. So yeah, that's one of the goals. I love what they did. I as a person who, it's not crazy remakes all the time as far as getting awards, but that is one of the best remakes. I have to give it that. Like, they truly gave care and fixed things that were wrong. And yeah, two is up there, man.
Totally agree. So that's your Game Pass pick of the week. Go ahead, check it out. Consoles, PC, wherever you are. Resident Evil 2 Remake awaits you, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's a great addition.
All right. Last question of the show, and then we're on out of here, Cog. This one comes from David. Not a typo, by the way. Daivid. David.
That King David.
David writes in, what up, Dukes? My wife asked me for some games to get into gaming. What would be some of your suggestions for not necessarily co-op games, but games to show someone how captivating games can be, but not scaring them with something too complex? Love the show, David. Thank you, David, for writing in.
Oh, thank you, David. I like that. Let's see.
Don't do what I do with Laylee. I've told this story before, but don't throw her into like BioShock 1. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I almost lost my relationship there, probably. I was like, our second date, she was like, what games do you want me to play? I was like, try this fucking scary first-person shooter with great atmosphere and a twist ending. You'll love it.
Yeah. Usually
don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. Usually with getting someone into gaming, I think my experience with like non-gaming friends or family members has always been, I always think control first, simplicity in control, so that they are not overwhelmed, because people forget, for a person who's a non-gamer, all these buttons are too intimidating for people. All of this and analog, it's way too much for people. So what I usually do is kind of think like the simplistic stuff. And I got to go back to my old classic with Playdead and Inside. I've always felt Inside as a game is simplistic enough that anyone, even as a non-gamer, I was like, okay, I want to watch what's going on here. Okay, I want to help you. Move the character here. All right, what's going on? And it really gets you into the story of this little boy and what's going on in his world, kind of thing. So I would say that. it's tough. I was thinking, I know he said not necessarily co-op, but I was like, it was your wife. I mean, you might want to get that It Takes Two popping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Might want to get that extent, both of y'all kind of get it on kind of thing. A little talk about relationship, kind of, two characters going through that kind of joint. There's a couple more, but I don't want to steal your thunder. Any ones you have that you would say like to get, someone into gaming?
It seems like you're going for like a story-based route according to the
years. I got one too. Yeah, I got another one.
Games could be. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I just thought about it. As much as Sav and Phil Spencer, I have to give Vampire Survivors.
No, we're not giving her. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that.
We can't do it, Maddie.
No, we're not riddling her attention span and destroying her very essence and core as a human being. We're not doing that.
Don't download this. Oh,
don't download that game. Go. You got a cell phone. You can go play something that offers the same experience. Please don't do that.
We try to ease them in.
No. There's other. You had a great suggestion, and then you went to the other end of the spectrum for Phil Spencer. That's unbelievable. We can't allow that.
We can't allow that. Is it?
No, go ahead, Cog. Why does she need to play Vampire
I'm just saying, for a person who is, I'm going to assume, is a non-gamer who is now showing an inkling of interest, moving your character around the screen while you just collect little power-ups and the game kind of auto-shoots for you, and then it's just simple and goodness, and then you can come back.
Stupid.
There's an addictive nature to getting your power-ups and using the gold that you used from the last playthrough to keep going. I'm just saying there is an addictive quality to it, man. And it's simplicity. Remember, you got to think simplicity sometimes. Some of these games are overwhelming. Oh, I know now. I just thought about it. Now I'll get on your good side. I'll get on your good side.
And with me over here.
Now I'm going to win you back over. We got to get them going in some nice Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I'm saying? Simplistic beat 'em up. You and the wife getting it on, playing with the turtle. She picks the one that she likes. Like, come on. Like, that's part of that. Nice little size beat 'em up. That's a good one.
No, I agree. I'm scrolling through Game Pass just to see what's available because off the top of my head, there's a lot of good picks here, but I'm trying to think of something that, like, you're talking about a sophisticated game. I'm trying to think of something that really brings the heat. Like something that like leaves a lasting impression. Like I think you definitely have the best pick, right? Because that's got like a story that kind of hangs with you.
Remember his key sentence: captivating games, but not scaring them with something too complex. That's the key.
How about, this is one I wouldn't have thought of. Thank God I scrolled through. As Dusk Falls?
Yes. Perfect game. Perfect game.
Man.
Oh, that's great. I think you got the best
starting point because when Laylee played games when she was younger, she hadn't played in years. So she was still like, when she went to click a button, she'd have to like look at the controller. Now she's a natural. But I put her on the Telltale Batman series as sort of like I don't know what spoke to me with that one, though. I don't know why I thought she'd like that. She loved it, but I don't know why. I think I just had a good feeling because I was like, oh, it's a Telltale game. And so I kind of geared it towards that. So I think like those sort of story-based games get them that feeling of like, they think they're playing a game, but they're really watching a show. So you're fucking manipulating them in real time is what you're doing. But it works. It works.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. As Dusk Falls is perfect. And like either playing, remember the cooperative thing with the choices and the way they did that.
Call some fights in the house. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Any of those type of games. But yeah, As Dusk Falls for sure. I'm a huge fan of that studio. What is it? Interior Night, I believe it.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Interior Night. Awesome. Shout out to Carol and the team. I got a chance to interview them. Yeah, great thing. And actually, one of our better streaming videos is I had Addict and Lady Addict play that together on stream. It is one of our highest performing videos. Really? They actually reached out to us and was like, hey, can we use that in a clip? And I was like, yeah, speak to Addict, All
right, I got a bold one.
What you got?
I'm having fun with this now.
Let's go.
Fallout 3 or New Vegas?
Whoa. You going there. You got
that. You don't have to do anything. Very easy difficulty and that.
Fair. Are you going with that? All right.
Yeah, don't Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is still like things are happening fast. But Fallout 3, you can stop the fucking game completely. New Vegas, you could stop the game completely and really let her take her time.
All right.
I'm just throwing it out there. It's not my number one suggestion, but if she shows some capabilities, might be a good place to nudge her towards.
Yeah, if
everyone loves Fallout.
You got to test the first person aspect. Sometimes the controls for some people is overwhelming. Now, if they get past the first person, they can move and look around and move. Then they're ready for games.
Put her in Firewatch. That's first person. You're walking and moving around.
Firewatch is perfect.
And then throw her into the fucking fires and just put her in
because Firewatch, there's not enough. There's really no action going on like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of walking, looking at objects, whatever. No, that's perfect. And great dialogue, emotional story. Like, yeah. And then once they get their foot wet, okay, this is how you move in a first person game. Now we can start the fallouts and what you talk about. Absolutely.
What else do we got here? House Flipper.
House
Flipper would be fun. I was a big advocate of House Flipper. Just let her do menial tasks while she plays the joint.
I got another one. Overcooked.
Ooh.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's get you get there. Right? Who got the lettuce? Who got that? You working it now? Y'all might have a little argument here and there when y'all not moving them things correctly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it is a fun game, man. Fun, simplistic game.
Let's see here. Something in my heart's telling me if she really connects with Fallout, throw her at Mass Effect. Just because everyone loves the way Mass Effect stories are told.
Oh, Mass Effect's amazing. We just got to get her.
She's not a good beginner game here.
Yeah, the control with the...
I'm giving bad suggestions.
Third person. Amazing games.
I'm the devil on the shoulder right now. It's like you can throw her to the wolves or you can put her on Vampire Survivor.
So you like trial by fire. You like, look, she going to get in and she going to learn. She got to learn sometimes.
Softballs. Pentiment.
Pentiment's good. Yes. Pretty good. Side scroller. Lot of dialogue, mystery, and the game challenges you on what you remember and remember who you talk to in the limited time.
Yeah.
You got to form a decision. Oh, absolutely, Pentiment.
Ooh.
Yes.
Power Wash Simulator.
Of course.
Yeah, that's a good first-person shooter trainer.
Train her up.
Yeah, just have her get fixated on cleaning cars.
We got to go. I love the suggestion series.
Yeah, I do too, because it's just like, I'm always curious if they'll come back and tell us which one they can.
Yeah, I'm curious. David, I need you to follow back up with the Dukes and see, you know, how that went going on. Yeah, I like these. These are good.
Yeah, I feel like turn-based is always safe in general. Like I just scrolled by Slay the Spire, which I don't know if that's a good one per se. That's like a pretty... It's a deck builder game, so it's pretty easy to understand, but turn-based is good. Anything that lets you stop the action or control your destiny a bit. So like she could be in a fight and sitting there for like hours deciding on her next move. Like that type of stuff is good. Anything with like action, like I mentioned with like Fallout or Mass Effect should be like... Game 3, Game 4, maybe. Would you recommend Somerville?
I was thinking about it. I love Somerville, but I have to admit the control issues could get in the way. It's a little. It's not as intuitive as Inside. Inside is very intuitive. It's not like it's impossible for her to do it, but I'm just worried about like. Some things figuring out going in from the background to the foreground, stuff like that. But yeah, you know me, I go hard for Somerville. I still like it. So yeah, I throw it in there, you know, to get the training wheels off.
Yeah, I'm seeing what else we got here. I think that's about it. That's all that's really popping out to me here on.
We mentioned Telltale stuff. We mentioned Life is Strange. I would say the first Life is Strange is a really good one to start. The Walking Dead Telltale, the first one with Lee.
Yeah.
Like, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. Yeah.
Yeah. All of those should work. And then some, you know, when it rains, it pours. If she's anyone like Laylee just won into the next, and the next, and the next, and kept going. But Laylee likes more, gotta identify her taste and start like kind of shaping it around that. Like for me, my experience getting Laylee back into gaming was understanding like, I don't think she's ever going to be playing like Mass Effect or anything like that. She doesn't like combat rich games like I do.
Yeah.
which, you know, makes it sometimes tough. She's like, let's play a game together. I'm like, you don't like beating the shit out of things like I do. Like, it's just not, we're not the same. Like, it's just very difficult to find a game together.
It's like, we're not the same.
So we end up playing something cool. It's cool though, because we'll play something like, oh, this is a good one. Just scroll by it because I was just thinking about it. Superliminal. I love this game. 3 hours long.
Nice.
It's literally about first person. You pick up an object and like you warp the perspective, and as you get closer to it, it gets bigger, and you just use the shape shifting of objects to get through puzzles. And it's got a pretty decent story attached to it, but it's really that puzzle experience that I think sticks with you. I'll throw that one out as the last.
I love these choices. I think we got some solid choices. You got to get back to us, Dave.
Yeah, there you go, David. So let us know how things go for you. And Cog, that's it. We're out of here. And this is interesting. We got to make a little hashtag for an episode that the main thing we're hashtagging. We don't know how we're going to feel about it. I'm hoping we're feeling good about it, but who knows? So we're hashtagging something that's undone. What do you want to put?
You want to just go with developer DD, or you want to stick it to something that is not related to that? Related to
do something kind of funny, like we could stick it to like the game that we like the game we think would get talked about the most following the show, right? Kind of like this end of show weird meta prediction, if you will.
Good one.
Like which one are we talking about the most at the end of this? All like, is it indie DD? Is it Avowed DD? Yeah, right? Like what do you know? The Hellblade DD? Is it Ara DD? You know, is it Mystery Game 5 DD?
DD, right? Yeah. Oh, Stealth Drop DD.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see. This is tough. Oh, if I had to pick, I'm gonna go indie because of the question marks. Because of what is it? What are they gonna show? But what do you think? You think Avowed gonna steal it? This is our past selves.
Yeah, let's see here. What do I think we're gonna come out talking about? I feel like indie's the safe bet. No,
yeah.
I feel like if that feels like the one ready to show out. From what we've read. Okay, let's go for it.
Let's go for indie. Because even if it disappoints, it'll be controversial.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be hilarious.
It'll be hilarious. And we have great stuff to talk about.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you got this deep in the episode. You want to let us know your thoughts. Use the hashtag indie, INDYDD. Use that alongside our handles at G27status, at Lord Cognito. You can find us on Twitter over there. You can also use it in the comment section. Again, the hashtag is IndieDD. We hope to see you there. And well, looking forward to the conversation, certainly, about how the Developer Direct goes and all the fallout from it. We'll cover in our next episode, which is episode 160. Cog, any closing thoughts? Or shall we get out of here?
Man, great episode. Had fun and big week. So excited to cover all this stuff.
Excellent. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, take great care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time around for episode 160 of Defining Duke and Xbox Podcast. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.